Hi, good to see you, Jimmy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. But the public doesn't know. We're going to be mirroring, whatever the word is, the Board of Supervisors. We're going to start off with public comments. They will be 3 minutes long, not 5. They'll be 3 minutes. If you would like to make a comment, you come up to the podium, give your name, make your comment at 3 minutes. Next one. We'll also start with a sign-up sheet starting at our next meeting, so we know who's saying what. If anything we want to respond to, it will be done at a later date. Okay, so at this point, I'll open it up to public comment.
I'm Chuck Rusnak, and the comment I'd like to make is, we saw the article in Thursday's paper about
You can take your mask off when you're there. It'll make it easier.
as a result of the article in Thursday's paper about the postponement, we had several questions that we have. And in fairness to everyone here, we put it in a letter form. We'll provide you and give you opportunity to review that and maybe get back to us before the next meeting, if that's appropriate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay. Thanks, Chuck. All right. Any other comments? Oh, whoops, we got one.
I can't respond, otherwise there'll be a week.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Silverman. I'm in District 1, and I would like to make a comment and make some requests from the LCBA. As a Lancaster County resident, sometimes I feel like we're a little left out. We read a lot about what's happening in the other counties in the Northern Neck, and we don't necessarily have a lot of transparency, I feel, about what's happening within the LCBA and what's happening with the efforts within Lancaster County. So I would like to see more transparency. I would like to see more communication to the Lancaster County residents about what you are doing and what the plans are. Preferably, I would like to see something in the paper. So maybe like a monthly update or something, so that, because right now there seems to be sporadic information happening when polls go up, but there's not a continuous type of information that's coming out. So I would like to see updates about progress, and more importantly, I would like to know what type of plan you have. What is the plan? I know you have a motto, or with I think something about everything, everywhere, eventually, but I don't know when this eventually is going to come, and I'd like to hear more about that. I know that you try to direct the public or the residents to your website, and I have been into the website. It seems many times that things are not current, things are outdated, and I'd like to see more communication really with your Lancaster County residents that you're working for. It's possible that there's a lot of progress and I'm just not aware of it. So please have a dialogue with us, because we are eagerly waiting for this deliverables that you have committed to, whatever they are. So please communicate with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right. Are you ready? Are we having problems? You need another couple of minutes or so? We can move on to the next thing. Okay. When you're ready, we'll come back to you. All right. As most of you, if not all of you, are aware, we got Oh,
Why don't we do the
We'll have to
approval of
go-
minutes?
yeah, we don't have him up there. All right, why don't you do the minutes? I thought we had him, but we can't.
Yeah, I circulated the minutes to everyone, and the final draft, did everyone have any more comments?
Yeah, I just have one more on section, page 3D.
Okay,
You have just CARES Act, and it really should be the VA Broadband CARES Act
okay.
in there. Because it's not from the same
Mhm.
fund. I'm just trying to distinguish the two.
Sounds good. So with that change, otherwise, it's okay?
Yep, that's
Okay.
fine. I move to approve the minutes with that change.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, they are approved. All right, Jimmy? You ready?
Sure. Okay,
Okay.
just a quick introduction. Some of you may, sorry, it's sometimes difficult to talk through a mask. You may have heard of a consortium that was started roughly a year ago and has been participating mainly in the other 4 counties of the Northern Neck. We had the option of joining last year, and we're here to see where the progress is and see what they have to say. And today, Jimmy Carr, who's the president of All Points Broadband, and he's going to go ahead and give us an update, and we're going to go through some discussions.
Great. Well, thank you very much for inviting us here to be back with you. We have what I think, I hope you'll agree, is a very exciting update on what we've been up to, and hopefully a partnership that Lancaster County will be interested in joining. So I'm here today on behalf of All Points, also the Northern Neck Electric Cooperative. So Pat Henry, their chief engineer, is here. Their CEO was going to be here today, but had a medical issue come up in his family. And also on behalf of Dominion Energy, who are also part of this project. And we are here to invite Lancaster County to join us in an initiative that will result in fiber-to-the-home broadband being made available to 100% of the remaining unserved locations in Lancaster County. A couple key points, and I'll touch on these as we go through. The first is that this is a whole-of-jurisdiction solution. What do I mean by that? This is a solution that will address all remaining unserved locations in one fell swoop, as opposed to addressing them in phases. This is a real project that's underway now, so Lancaster would be joining a project where construction is commencing in July. We hope to have the opportunity to work with the Lancaster County Broadband Authority, who's been very active, to leverage the work and the information that you all have already gathered so that together we can accelerate the deployment timeframe and reduce costs. I know that the county has had a number of successes recently in some grant and other programs. I think those are some of the things that were being mentioned during the minutes. One of the things that you'll see is that compared to one of your most recent projects where the county's local match commitment was about $1,200 per unserved passing, the project that we're proposing today would require a local match commitment of only about 18% of that, so an 82% reduction in the local share for achieving fiber to the home. And so we're very excited to go through this proposal with you today and to take any questions you all may have. For those of you who I haven't met or we haven't spoken with before, I'll tell you a little bit about our company first. So All Points Broadband is a Virginia-based company. Unlike a lot of broadband providers, our focus is rural and underserved areas. We operate now across 4 states. That's Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Kentucky. And we're the largest company of our kind in the Mid-Atlantic. For each of the last 3 years, we've been named to Inc. magazine's list of America's 5,000 fastest growing companies. We are expanding now onto the Northern Neck, so we'll be opening 2 regional offices on the Northern Neck in the 3rd quarter of this year. And something that we're particularly proud of is that in the last 6 months alone, we have obtained more than $51 million in state and federal grant funding and in stakeholder co-investment to complete fiber-to-the-home projects in our partner communities. We are backed by an institutional money management firm, another Virginia-based company called Ockrey Capital Management, who has approximately $16 billion in assets under management. For those of you who were here last year when we were talking about, and this program was just getting started, I had a couple of convoluted slides that admittedly might have been a little difficult to follow. So I thought today we now have a video that provides a very simple overview of the way we work with electric utility companies to make fiber broadband viable. So hopefully if I bring this microphone down close to my computer display and press play, everything will work. I'll be right with you. Let's try this.
Welcome to the overview of Dominion Energy's Rural Broadband Program. At Dominion Energy, we know that actions speak louder. Across every part of our company, we're transforming the way we do business to build a more sustainable future for Virginia and support the communities we serve. But the harsh reality is many Virginians live without easy access to broadband internet. Dominion Energy can help. We're in a unique position to bridge the broadband gap in rural areas as we move forward with efforts to transform our electric grid and connect renewable energy resources. We know that home internet access is vital for today's society. School coursework, remote education, access to healthcare, telemedicine, job searching, and working from home are just a few activities that are powered by access to broadband internet. Dominion Energy proposes to provide middle-mile fiber optic cable infrastructure to bridge the gap to rural locations. Local internet service providers will connect customers interested in broadband internet by building the last-mile infrastructure to serve these customers. Our partnerships are making it easier for local internet service providers to reach rural communities unserved by broadband. While Dominion Energy has the ability to install fiber optic cable to better serve our electric utility customers, we need to form additional partnerships with property owners to be able to use our infrastructure to help serve those without sufficient access to broadband internet. If a supplemental communication agreement is necessary for your property, a Dominion Energy representative will contact you. Dominion Energy is partnered with All Points Broadband and is planning to build over 200 miles of middle-mile fiber optic cable in the Northern Neck. All Points Broadband plans to extend the last mile further into each county to ensure universal access for all unserved residents. We're working together to overcome the challenges that are too great for one entity to tackle alone. This project crosses Stafford, King George, Westmoreland, Richmond, Northumberland, and Lancaster counties. Closing the digital divide to ensure more homes and businesses can access broadband internet is critical for economic growth. It's about social equity and public safety. This is why King George, Westmoreland, Richmond, and Northumberland counties have endorsed the Northern Neck project. Dominion Energy will work with property owners along the project route to ensure understanding of this important agreement. Property owners signing the supplemental communications agreement are helping to move this project forward for the entire community. We thank you for your support. Looking forward, Dominion Energy is actively working to create additional partnerships with internet service providers to reach localities without access to broadband internet within our electric service territory. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this important project. To learn more about this initiative and how it affects your area, please visit our website at dominionenergy.com/rural broadband.
Oops.
Welcome to
that
the-
again. Hold on, there we go. So, let me resume. I think one really important part of what we're doing on the Northern Neck that doesn't really come through that video is that we have, in this case, you know, the Northern Neck and Lancaster is the same way. A lot of your unserved areas are within the Dominion Electric Service Territory, but an equal, if not larger, share of your currently unserved residents are members of the Northern Neck Electric Cooperative. And they highlighted it on that video a little bit when you saw kind of the map phase. One really important thing that we're doing here in the Northern Neck is All Points is partnered not only with Dominion, but also with the Northern Neck Electric Cooperative, so we can not just bring universal coverage to Dominion service territory, but also to truly extend to 100% of the remaining unserved locations, whether those locations are in Dominion or the Northern Neck Electric Co-op's service territory. That's something that's very unique and very special about this project. One of the questions I was asked when getting ready to come to this meeting was to provide the members of the Broadband Authority just kind of an update on what our initiative has been up to since we were last talking with you about it, I guess, about a year ago. So I'll just give you a real quick overview of kind of the path that we've been on. I know that you all have had a number of successes as well. So last March, Dominion, All Points, the Northern Neck Electric Cooperative, and the 4 initial counties entered into a partnership to conduct a multi-phase initiative to achieve universal fiber to the home. In May of last year, with the support of the Planning District Commission, those 4 initial counties invested in the development process for Phase 1. In August of last year, the 4 initial counties each committed to provide a 10% local match. And that was intended at the time to be a 10% match for the first half of the first phase of the project. And that was a local contribution toward the state level, the VADI grant program. In September of last year, King William County signed up to participate as the first phase or round 2 participant. We submitted the petition that is required to the State Corporation Commission to obtain approval for Dominion's participation in Phase 1 last October. In March of this year, the State Corporation Commission issued its final order approving that phase. This month, we are in the process of inviting additional counties to participate in Phase 2 of the initiative. We plan to have the Phase 2 scope finalized by early May of this year. We are planning to begin construction in July of the mainline fiber through the Phase 1 areas of the project. The time frame that we've laid out, we would be submitting the Phase 2 project to the State Corporation Commission for approval in the 3rd quarter of this year. We are on track to begin doing customer installations for fiber to the home service in the Phase 1 areas beginning in November of this year. And we intend to begin customer installations for Phase 2 in August of next year. So we're rapidly moving ahead. This will give you kind of a graphic view of the Northern Neck Initiative overall. So the first phase includes approximately 8,700 currently unserved locations. Those are the green dots in King George, Northumberland, Richmond, and Westmoreland counties. We're here today to talk with you about adding Lancaster to Phase 2 of this project, which would result in approximately 2,700 currently unserved locations in Lancaster receiving fiber to the home service. Those are the yellow dots down here at the end in Lancaster County. This next slide gives you an overview of the high-level network design that we've completed for Lancaster County. So again, you can see, oh, and I forgot to put this up. So this is a larger version. So this is a larger version of the network that we designed to include Lancaster in Phase 2 of this project. You can see that maybe in a little less detail up on the screen there. But the primary fiber routes are the ones in red. Then you've got feeder fiber, we call it, is in blue. And then the yellow locations, which are maybe a little bit hard to see at this resolution, that's the 2,700 currently unserved locations who this project would cover. As I said, we know that this authority has done a lot of work, may have a lot more local knowledge and specifics with us, and so one of the things that we would want to do very soon would be to work with you all to refine our plans, leverage the information and initiatives that you all have underway so that we can finalize this project and include Lancaster in our Phase 2 submission to be made in the 3rd quarter. In terms of next steps for Lancaster County, so the very first phase in the process would be to for the authority or the Board of Supervisors to enter into a non-binding MOU to participate in Phase 2. We would hope very soon thereafter to have the opportunity to work with the Broadband Authority to make sure we have the best available information, to make sure we fine-tune the project properly and aren't leaving any single currently unserved location in the county unincluded. Before proceeding to construction, we would ask Lancaster County to make the same local match that the other counties that are participating in the initiative have made. Each of those other 4 counties have contributed $650,000 towards the construction of the project. As I said, we know in the case of Lancaster County and this Broadband Authority in particular, a whole lot of you all are starting off at a more advanced posture than other counties. A lot more data has been done, some design work, a lot more effort has been done. We would hope to, as your partner, have the ability to access that information, use it to help refine our plans and approach. And we would also give the county a financial credit to reflect the value of the work that has been done by the authority. And so the net cost to Lancaster to proceed to construction would be $575,000. That works out to a local match per currently unserved passing of about $213. I looked at your most recent successful application to the VADI program, and in that program, the local contribution was $1,200 per unserved home. So I think there are 2 important points here. First, it's a dramatic reduction in the local cost share in order to achieve fiber to the home, but more importantly, this would be the last step on Lancaster's journey to broadband. We're covering 100% of the remaining unserved locations, and we're doing that at what I hope you will agree is a very cost-effective manner. And again, it's because we have so much leverage from our electric utility partners and the other programs we've taken advantage of. So as I mentioned, this achieves universal fiber-to-the-home broadband for the approximately 2,700 currently unserved locations in Lancaster that we've identified. And it's also certain. So one of the concerns that has been raised by this group in the past is wanting to commit to something that was not yet fully baked or certain. And this is a real project. It's underway, and if you elect to participate in Phase 2, there's no more sitting around and applying for grants. There's no more uncertainty. We're going to finalize that petition. We're going to go to the State Corporation Commission, and we'll be under construction in less than a year's time. So again, I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be back before you today. I think that hopefully you've seen the progress that we've made and are interested in participating in this project. I can't mention enough that we're able to do this because of the very significant partnerships and leverage we have from our electric utility partners. Hopefully, as you've seen, participating in Phase 2 would really enable the county to dramatically accelerate the deployment of fiber to the home to its currently unserved locations. If we begin now, fiber deployments in Lancaster would begin next summer and be completed in 2024. I will make the case to you that there is not going to be a better opportunity to both finally and rapidly eliminate the digital divide in Lancaster County. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you have and to talk in more detail about our plans and hopefully having Lancaster County want to join what we're doing in the next phase. Thank you.
Well, I have one question, more than one, but I'll start with just one. You said in the slide here, a few slides back, which was the issue last year, that we were not going to be allowed to participate in any grant opportunities or anything else if we signed up in the pilot at that time. And according to this, we still cannot pursue any other opportunities for assistance in expanding broadband in the county.
Well, you wouldn't need them because if you participated in Phase 2, we're going to extend fiber to the home to 100% of the currently unserved locations that remain in the county.
All right, which leads to if I start asking too many questions, please tell me to stop, and I want to give everybody else an opportunity. My next question, and the other counties, what percentage, roughly, I know you don't come with all your stats, of those homes that you're looking at providing fiber, how much is in the ground, how much is fixed wireless?
This network and the entire initiative is 100% fiber to the home. There is no fixed wireless element of this initiative.
Okay.
And you're willing to put that in writing?
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing is, what type of system? I mean, are we now talking 10 GPON? Are we talking XGS?
XGS PON, it will be readily upgradable to 10 gig to the home as customer demand is there.
Okay. Do you have pricing that you expect the customers to receive?
Yes, the plans would begin at, I believe it's $65 for a 50 by 50 symmetric service.
Okay. And then to get to 1 gig, if people wanted it, what would that pricing be?
I think we have $99 in the model.
Okay.
Can I just follow up on something before you may get to another area, but
Oh,
on the pricing? Do you have anything spelt out in your plans? We have a good number of low-income families. $65 a month may be a bit much for them. Do you have any sort of pricing that would help those families?
Yeah,
Once
well-
we can document which families are in that category.
Yeah, so we are a participant in, for example, the FCC has a program called the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program right now. So we're eligible to participate in that, and you know, we would look at any type of program or opportunity to provide service to low-cost service to folks who needed it. I would tell you that, I mean, just driving around the county, a lot of people are probably running up in excess of what their unlimited service would cost with us, either on their satellite bill or with their mobile phone provider. So I think actually, while we would absolutely work with you all to look at low-income programs, even at the pricing that I've described, I think this is going to be a net savings for a lot of consumers today.
But you would consider it if we made that a requirement, to look at those families?
Sure, I mean, we'd have to, you know, work through the details, but yeah, we're absolutely open to that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Cassie,
Mary.
could I follow up on that, please?
Mm-hmm.
I reviewed, and is All Points Northern Neck LLC the same as All Points Broadband?
That is one of our wholly owned subsidiaries, yes.
Okay, so I just want to make certain I reviewed the correct application that was filed with the Federal Communications Commission in connection with your RDOF win. And I understand that you're going to be providing both Lifeline services and relying on the annual comparability rate that is set by the Federal Communications Commission. And in there, for the 1 gigabit service, it said broadband would be $149 and a voice only would be $35. I'm just wondering how that compares to the plans that you just described, which are substantially lower.
Right, so in our RDOF filings, we put maximum pricing.
Okay,
It's easy to start at what's allowed and make adjustments to that. But the pricing, you can look in the VADI application that we filed last year, and so that's the pricing that we'll be offering.
and then for your emergency broadband benefit program, in order to receive money from that, you had to provide evidence of all your plans that are currently offered. So were some of these lower plans part of that? Do you know?
So we wouldn't be able to participate in that program on the Northern Neck before
No,
we
that's,
had-
I understand that, but I just am interested in your experience where you are participating.
Yeah, so there, I think we have a $49 plan is the requirement for the EBB, if I recall. And you must be in telecom if you're familiar with these programs. But, yeah, I mean, we offer pricing throughout our different markets from, you know, I think plans in some markets start at $29.99. But the plans that I mentioned earlier, and I can look it up, it's about $65, I believe, for a 50 by 50
That's
plan.
fine. I'm just more interested in All Points Northern Neck or broadband, whichever it is, experience with the programs, because it can be complicated in order to participate and receive the reimbursements and determine who's eligible and who's not, right? And then one last question. The $11 million that you've been awarded in support over the next 10 years for the Commonwealth of Virginia, what percentage of that covers Lancaster County?
I think it's about 10% of that. Again, that's a public number, I can check it out, but as I recall, it's about 10%.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything more.
Yeah. What happens with you won the RDOF for our census blocks here. The question is, if we don't proceed with this, what are the plans then? Because clearly Dominion is building their fiber to their substations, and you have a little over $1.8 million from the RDOF for our area.
So, we will comply with our RDOF obligations in the county. I will note that if we had not participated in RDOF in the county year, the winners would have been a mix of SpaceX and fixed wireless. So by participating, we are making fiber to the home available. I believe that our RDOF territory in Lancaster County is somewhere around 2,000 locations, and so the plan we have here is for 2,700, so it's a larger footprint and serves more people.
But, so that would still be fiber to the home?
Yes, I mean, we're committed to deliver gigabit within our RDOF areas.
Okay. And then, one of the things that I was surprised when I saw on there that...
But let me make one point, sorry to interrupt, just, you are correct to note that timing is a factor. And there is some major Dominion investment taking place in this region. And so by participating in the initiative now, we will collectively be able to accelerate the offering of fiber to the home much faster than it would otherwise be available.
Okay, what is the timeline for that then?
8/22.
2024, we'd be finished.
No, with the new plan, I understand. What would be if you're just following the RDOF plan?
I don't know what that plan would be.
Oh, you haven't put a timeline on that?
But you are under requirements to complete build-outs.
Yeah, we'll comply with
Pursuant to
our
the
RDOF
FCC's
requirements.
compliance
Yeah, sure, of
guidelines, so
course.
yeah.
I have a question. I was not a member of the authority back last year when you did your presentation. And I'm not particularly familiar with APB. Of course, I'm familiar with Dominion. Do you currently serve as an ISP to any of your presentations said, you're in Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland? Do you have an active network where you're serving customers
Yeah,
now?
more than 25,000 end users.
And so could you provide us with like references from other counties that you've worked with and
Absolutely. I mean,
that kind of
I would encourage you
information?
to talk with all 4 of the county administrators who are on the Northern Neck, and I can provide you with contacts of the other
Well,
counties
no,
that we're
I
partnering
understand
with.
that, but you're not actively providing services to customers, like at the home here in the Northern Neck, correct?
Correct.
Right, so I'm talking about in Maryland or wherever else. Are you currently operating where you have, you are providing services to individual homes?
Yes.
Okay, so what counties are those in?
Well, we provide service in 2 market areas in Virginia. So our New River Valley market is Pulaski, Montgomery, and a couple counties up there. In Northern Virginia, we
So
serve.
those are the references I'd be interested,
Sure.
where you're actively providing services, you've already brought fiber to the home, and you can give us, we can see your marketing packet, the information you give to customers, the kind of service you give to customers, like if they have some kind of problem with their internet service, and the type of equipment you provide to them, and then contact information with the people in those counties who did make the decision to part with
Yeah, happy to do
for a
that.
reference. That would be helpful, thank you.
If someone from my marketing department here, they would remind me to point out, so we're actually very proud of our customer service ratings. We have a higher Google star rating than I think any other ISP in Virginia, but I'm happy to follow up with you on that information.
So looking at the network map and what I saw earlier, are you only going to feed in from the top of the neck, or y'all also going to run in through the bottom of the neck for ways out for network redundancy?
The network in Lancaster would have multiple independent paths to the internet.
And just to follow up, how many gigabits would be within the network, the bandwidth that you would be putting up?
The capacity initially would be multiple 100 gig waves that are rapidly expandable.
So how many count fiber are you pulling for your backbone through the area?
The mainline fiber is usually 100 and 144 count. Most of the distribution fiber is 72. We're getting a little beyond Jimmy's expertise or some other, but that much I know.
Behind the sign, right?
What's the relationship between All Points Broadband and
Is
Dominion regarding the
Somebody on the
fiber?
line?
That's not-
Is that Nicholas?
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 Yes, Nicholas Pasquarelli, I'm
Can you
sorry.
speak up?
Yeah. Can you turn the volume up? We're trying to turn the
Did you hear
volume
me?
up a bit, Nicholas.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nicholas, but you need to speak up if you can.
Okay, what's the relationship between All Points Broadband and Dominion regarding the fiber? Is it an ownership relationship with the fibers? Is it a partnership? Is it a revenue share arrangement? How's the interaction between the two entities?
So where we are using Dominion fiber, we do that pursuant to very long-term leases.
So IRUs, like 20-year IRUs or something like that?
Correct.
And in areas where Dominion isn't, you'll be placing the cable yourselves.
Correct.
And when I look at that map over there, I see gaps that I know are Dominion service, but there's no fiber running through those areas. Correct? Irvington's serviced by Dominion, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot missing on the
Yeah,
map.
there's a lot missing. I know for the most part it's covered by the current internet service provider here in the county.
Right, so our focus is on getting service to people who are currently unserved.
Correct. But I'm just saying, future-wise, what is Dominion doing for all those people as far as their power goes?
Their power?
Well, I mean,
Internet.
they're gonna have to have that internet service to their equipment in those areas, and there is no line there at all on that map.
So our ability to work with Dominion is limited to providing service in areas where there is no broadband service available
Okay.
today. So we may have to pass through an area, actually very frequently, we have to pass through an area that's served in order to get to an unserved area. But
How much, I understand that rule, because that's in most grants and whatnot. What is the timeline once the project is done, where you can then start building out?
if we commence now, we would plan to have all of Lancaster complete by the end of 2024.
No, I understand the unserved. I'm talking, following up on Kevin's question. We have a lot of people served well and poorly by the current cable operator here, okay? So that is a critical piece for us in the future. And my question is, I understand the limitations that are put on you until you finish a project, which would be 2024 theoretically. At that point, what is your intention as far as building out to the other customers that could really use the service?
Yeah, this is a question we get frequently. Our focus is on building to people who do not have service today.
Okay. So
No plans.
there are no plans then, is what you're saying, to do what we would call our phase 2 work?
We are not, our plan, our proposal to you is not about overbuilding any currently served area. It's about getting service to people who do not today have it.
Okay. So, okay. Basically, you said, if I'm to just paraphrase, you'd have to talk in 2024 when the project is done to, or is there a limitation long-term from Dominion that you can't build into other areas?
Our plan and approach is to get to the people who are not served today.
Okay.
One of your partners is NNEC. If we say, no, we don't want to, partner with Dominion and APB, I'm just saying, what if? if we find other sources of funding and we want to need the help of NNEC, because we're going to go down their polls, their area, et cetera, are they forbidden from doing anything with us because they're in a partnership with you and Dominion?
Well, I don't want to speak for them, but no, I mean, they own their polls, and there's nothing in our, if you were a communications attacher, you'd be able to attach to their polls and use their other assets on a neutral and non-discriminatory basis.
All right, so that's totally our negotiation with NNEC, if that was to come about.
If I could add to that, I think what Jim is saying is that NEEC as a pole owner is subject to certain requirements under federal law and state law regarding attachment to its poles by telecommunications carriers. So if we were a telecommunications carrier or a cable video service provider, we would have certain attachment rights. But generally, at least for the moment, maybe not by the end of 2021, you wouldn't necessarily have the same right of access to the poles as just a broadband service provider under the law. It's a legal issue.
Gotcha. Thanks.
In your presentation, it showed Dominion's owning the middle mile. Is that correct? And then you're building out the final mile, right? Do you know if Dominion, with respect to the homes that Gary and Kevin were talking about that are poorly served and will need upgrading in the future, but that you don't have plans for, do you know if Dominion would be open to allowing Lancaster County to use, the Broadband Authority, to use that middle mile, contract with Dominion to use that middle mile, let's say if we were able to get other grant money or money from some other source, to build out to the homes that you have no intention of going to?
I have learned not to speak on behalf of Dominion.
Okay, do you know who we should speak with the Dominion about that issue?
Yes, I can get you that
Okay, and you
information.
can get us that, great.
I just want to confirm right now, what you're saying with the discount, it's, I think it was $575 or whatever for the payment. That includes everything, so there would be no other expenses from Lancaster County from that forward?
Correct.
Okay.
$213 per currently
Right.
unserved location would be the last local payment towards broadband Lancaster County would ever make.
I saw someone in the audience.
Yeah, just a quick question. What is your definition of fiber to the home? You need to come to the microphone. Oh, I need to come up here? I was just curious. What's your, first question? In phase one, I understand we're in phase two.
Hey, Mark, introduce yourself.
Mark McKercher. Do you need an address or? Local resident.
Yeah, Mark is a former member of the
I remember his face,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we had spoken last year. I think I saw that, maybe I was asleep on phase one, 8,700 homes in phase one, is that correct?
Correct.
Something like that. Okay, how much of that is built right now? How much of that is in the ground?
None. So that construction on that main line starts in July. We have to go through a regulatory process with the
Understand.
State Corporation Commission. We got the final order done at the end of March, and they're mobilizing crews right now.
Okay, all right. I think last year when you gave us a briefing, you talked about how that phase one was going to be designed, well on the way. And I guess my point is, we're in phase two. So all the phase one folks are going to take priority, obviously, until we get into the fall of this year.
So when we were talking with the Lancaster Broadband Authority last year, the time frame was for the first petition to go to the State Corporation Commission, as I believe, by December 31st of last year. And so we actually put it in 3 months early.
Right, it was October, I think, it was
And that,
approved in February.
by statute, that's a 6-month process, no
Right.
matter what. And so it was approved toward the end of March. Lancaster is an interesting position. You would not So yeah, we're gonna, the priority is phase one, just priority in time, it's got approvals, but because of Lancaster's location, it wouldn't be a full year off cycle, right? There's some activities that we, as the last mile provider, could begin with prior to the timeframe. So as I think I put in the presentation, we would expect to begin phase two work in August of next year.
Of 2022?
Correct.
Okay, and that's design, preliminary design?
No, that's construction.
That's actual construction? Okay, all right, I just wanted to get the time frame. Second question is, fiber to the home is, everybody has various definitions and who pays for what. Are you going to pay, for instance, my driveway is 600 feet. Are you going to cover that entire distance? I know there's folks in here that have driveways that are much longer than that. I mean, 1,200, 1,500 feet. Who pays for that, or is it split between yourself, the homeowner? Are you paying up? I think Atlantic Broadband, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, pays 280 feet of their cable. How does that work? How is that going to be separated or for the install?
So, and I can follow up with some of the per foot if I misspeak on some of these details because we're getting a little bit into the weeds. But there would be a standard installation charge. Typically, that would be $99 upfront charge, and that would cover a long drop.
Meaning what?
I think the numbers are more than 1,000 feet.
1,000 feet for $99? Okay, anything over that, then it'll be borne by the homeowner?
Correct.
We do have a lot of, in the rural areas, obviously, we have long driveways. So I was just trying to define that going forward so that we know how much is the homeowner's cost and how much is going to be APB's cost.
Yeah, and look, there's some operational and competitive detail here that's being asked about, and that's the type of thing that we'd be happy to share in a lot more detail with after
Well,
the county
1,000
was
feet
participating in the
is
initiative.
quite good. I mean, I've never heard of that, quite honestly. That's a heck of for $100. That's fantastic. That's all I have. Thanks. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Bob. Other questions?
Obviously, one of the things we're interested in is having all this in writing, the numbers that you're telling us right now, such as the cost to the customer. So we'd like to see some type of pricing sheet. And, you can, right now, we just want to have a good idea of what everybody's getting into, what the costs are. We want to make sure, this is one of the things that was not very clear to us last time. What's the cost? And what you're defining now is at $575 is the cost to the county. It's a different business model than we've been contemplating, but that's basically our understanding right now.
Yeah, so we're asking the county to contribute, I think the math is $213 per currently unserved passing, which is about 18% of what the county contributed in your most recent successful grant application.
No, I understand. I mean, the rules of the game are the rules of the game. But so what, obviously, we've made commitments already. And so how do we go ahead and, in other words, how would that fit within this MOU where you're saying we're not working on anything other than with you?
So that would depend on, I guess I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about a grant that has already been awarded, we would want to know about that and plan around it. But, if we are investing significantly and our electric utility partners are as well in a comprehensive, universal solution for the county, it costs a lot of money, right, to prepare these designs. I mean, you all know, right? This is a very expensive activity. And so, before we begin incurring those very significant expenses and start our regulatory process, we want to know that the county is committed to participating. And again, it's a non-binding MOU, so if something really goes awry and, there's a surprise you didn't anticipate, that you'd have the ability to withdraw participation. But the next step would be signing up that non-binding MOU, and we'd have the opportunity to work with you all and exchange some of this more detailed information that's being asked about. We're happy to do that.
Do you have a draft of the MOU we could take a look at?
Yeah, I sent one to
We
Gary.
actually
I
have it.
forwarded that out to you.
We do
Okay.
have it.
Yeah,
We have it.
Sorry, we have it. APB is an LLC, is that correct?
Yes.
Who's the managing member of the LLC?
Virginia Electric, oh wait, no, Virginia Everywhere LLC.
But our company is controlled by our shareholders.
Right, well, it's an LLC, so you have members, and so that's all I'm getting. So is Dominion a member of the LLC?
No,
No. Okay.
no. That we have an arm's length relationship with Dominion.
Okay. We might be interested in further information about your entity itself,
Okay.
and we'll come back to you on that if we have questions.
Other questions?
No, I'm good.
Oh, one more question. Is Dominion in any of these other areas, or are they just in Virginia? Dominion Power?
No, they have some service areas in North Carolina as well.
Oh, they do, but not in
And I think it's,
Kentucky, West Virginia, or, I forget the fourth one.
I think that they have a few spots in
Maryland.
too.
I was just wondering if your IRUs with Dominion are primarily just for the Virginia market?
So the statute that we're using is available to Dominion Energy Virginia, their regulated electric utility.
Okay,
So I know that they have a lot of electric operations in other states, but I learned a long time not to speak for Dominion, and I'm sure that's on their website. I just don't know.
and when did you enter into that IRU with Dominion?
We've been working with Dominion on this project since, I think, November of 2019.
Okay, thank you.
But you were involved with them when they sent out the request of interest in their pilot program, which was October, November 2019 for responses due in December 2019.
I don't remember the exact
Yeah.
dates, but we've been doing this with Dominion since the beginning of the
Since
program.
beginning of the pilot program.
I mean, we set out with Dominion to pioneer a way of doing this, using this statute in a large area of Virginia, and that's why we selected the Northern Neck.
Just a quick question. Did Dominion find you or you find Dominion?
I guess we found each other. We responded to a solicitation that Dominion sent out.
Okay. All right. Sherry, anything else?
Nope,
Michelle?
excellent,
No, thank you.
very interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you'll make your next appointment, I hope.
Oh, yeah. Just in time. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming. Oh, let there be light.
Can I have your map, Jimmy, or are you going to take that with you?
Can I make a photocopy of it?
It's a lot of work that went into that
Take
map.
a picture?
That map looks like our map.
Yeah.
But actually, if you want to buy it.
There you go.
Well, I'm told you can get it for $575 now. 1,000.
If you buy by the dozen, they'll get you. Okay. Thanks. Safe travel out there. Hope you don't have to go far.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, the whole group. Next, are we back? Nicholas, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I don't see him, but he's there.
Well, we hear you. We don't see you, but we hear you.
Well, my video should,
Oh, there you are.
There he is.
There he is. And his, okay. Is that better?
larger than life,
Yeah, larger than life, you want a big
All
screen.
right, well, excuse me, want to officially recognize Nicholas Pascaretti as the new Lancaster County Broadband Authority Executive Director. We have been looking forward to having this position filled, finding somebody highly qualified, and you're it. We're not going to ask too much of you, but we'll get you around more in the county and meeting people and answer all the questions. We look forward to working with you and having you on the team. Thank you for being willing to sign up with us. We appreciate it. Anything you want to say?
well, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's an exciting challenge. It's been my background for my whole career. When T1 was a special circuit, so you're very low bandwidth and stuff like that. So I've seen it through all stages on the private and public sector, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to, I mean, the enthusiasm and the grassroots support is very inspiring. So once again, thank you, and I'll be down next week, and hope to have a one-on-one with everybody.
We look forward to it. Mr. Palin?
Yes, I'd like to say, welcome to the county. Looking forward to sitting down, talking with you some and meeting you. All right, so. welcome
Likewise.
aboard.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to try to get him together with the Board of Supervisors when he's down next week for sort of a one-on-one, just to introduce himself and each of you to him. So we'll work with you. Don will go through you to, find the
Yeah.
best time and arrange that.
We're shooting on Monday night at
I
5.
think the plan right now is our Board of Supervisors has a budget work session on Monday, the 12th at 5 PM. So I know Nick will be here then, so if he
Right.
could be here at 5 PM, he can, be face-to-face with the Board of Supervisors at that time as well.
Okay, all right, we'll make sure you know where to go and everything else when you come down. Okay. We did the minutes. All right, the next thing, the discussion of the mission statement, vision statement, et cetera, the Board of Supervisors presented on the 25th. Everybody has a copy of it, I assume. I know you do. What I'd like to do, instead of saying everybody jump right in, and this, of course, includes you, Nicholas, there's some parts of that, what should I call it, of the piece that I think fits very, very well into certain expertise. And I'm thinking about you, Nicholas, and anybody else who wants to jump in on this, especially on the business development plan. You've got the experience on that, basically coming out of the Eastern Shore. And that's what I consider one of your strong points, based on conversations we've had, your resume, et cetera. So, and you did get a copy, I think we sent you,
Yeah,
Don
sure.
sent you a copy, yeah. You got a copy of that, or somebody sent it.
Sherry sent it.
All right, so I know you have it. Are you looking for it?
I'm looking for it. I opened up a bunch of attachments that does not
It was from Cherie,
see that.
probably on the 25th, 26th of March.
If you don't have it,
We can send it again.
readily.
Oh, you know what I'm looking? I have to look at my Gmail account.
Oh, yeah, at that
because-
point, it would have been Gmail.
It's very brief, though, and
Yeah.
we'll send it again, Nicholas, if you can't
Okay.
find it quickly, because it's only one item with A through F. And it just outlines putting together a vision statement, a mission statement, goals with realistic completion dates, development of goals and evaluation tool that will be used to assess, evaluate the goals and accomplishments of the LCBA, develop a timeline for the use of the and assess evaluation tool, such as every quarter or annually, and develop a business plan. I mean, this fits nicely into the prior discussions I think that you've had with everybody on the authority about why your expertise is so important to what we're trying to do. There's been a lot of work undertaken. Things have changed based upon grants that were applied for, and then RDOF took away some of the areas, and so now you're here at this point where we've just received the VADI, you've just seen this presentation from APB, which is very interesting, and stepping back, looking at all of it, to say, help us determine what is the business plan and goals now to achieve what has been the plan to get fiber to the home for everyone in Lancaster County, and the fastest way to do that, right? So we'll send you the one-pager, but I'm sure it's going to take a lot more discussion.
Okay.
As I said, you scanned it in and sent it with one of your emails, so.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
I've got it. I've got it in my file.
Yeah,
And
she sent it to you, Nicholas, in one of the attachments.
We'll get it to you again,
Yeah.
don't worry.
Okay.
Especially, it'd be a good opportunity when you're here next week. Maybe we can find some time to cut out with you and the authority to talk over some specific things, not just on this, but some other things. We'd like to talk about some priorities as we see it and get your opinion and where we should be going, that kind of a timeline too, so we can all work on that. As far as the other things on this sheet, from the authority members, a lot of this we can do ourselves, and somebody may want to take some initiative in one or two of them, or you can just send them. I'd like to have something at our next meeting where we can discuss about vision statements, mission statements, et cetera. And our next meeting is the 20, what's today's? 21st. The 7th are easy.
It's the 27th, isn't it?
No, today's the 7th. What's today?
The 7th.
Our next
Yeah.
meeting's on
The 21st, yeah.
Oh, 21st.
7s are easy, 7, 14, 21. So it'll be the week after next. I can do 7s. All right, on the 21st, any comments you have, suggestions for vision, mission, et cetera, send them out to everybody on the authority, and then we can have something to discuss on the 21st.
And I have the vision and the mission statement that I had sent to Bob a while ago, which I think encompass
Yeah, I
so
think you should
far.
recirculate that
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then include Nicholas.
Definitely.
I will do that.
Oh, and Nicholas, we're going to work to get you, when you're here next week, a Lancova account, so you don't have to keep
He already
going.
has
You
it.
got it now?
I have that.
Oh, good. So that way you don't have to go
Yep.
between the two. Okay, good.
I mean, I have it forwarded to my Gmail account, so I always have it on my phone, but I have both accounts and check them.
Great, then you'll see everything. All right, recirculate that, would you please?
Sure.
And then we can have a discussion on the 21st. That'll be on the agenda for discussion, the whole sheet. But everybody will have seen what anybody else also wants to comment on, what Michelle sent out, something original in their own mind, et cetera, et cetera. Any comments on that?
Only that I'll work on revising the mission statement, because I believe the way I expressed it, it was focused on the use of grant money only to, to fund the fiber to the home network. It was and I had that expressly in there, but since that's obviously not happening due to government decisions, in the federal government, I'll revise it sort of based on the discussions we've been having since then and the discussion with the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, so that'll be on the agenda for the 21st. Okay. Update discussion. Before we get to this, Gary, I want to just jump to the BTS contract, just so everybody in authority is aware. And Don, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you can't hear me. You have the reassignment of the contract?
Yes,
I'm supposed to.
I have the assignment document. I'll go to my office and get it. It has
Okay.
been executed by the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. The board voted to assign this to the LCBA at their meeting on March the 25th. So I'm going to go get it and present it to you all now.
Okay, because once he presents that, we have to take a motion to accept it or decline it, but I don't think that'll be an
Have we
issue.
read it?
Excuse me?
Have we read it?
There's not, yes, we have read it. I reviewed it with
Jim?
Mr. Cornwell. It's a simple assignment from the county to LCBA in the form that it exists. And if we accept the assignment, then whatever the terms and conditions are of the contract that exists today will remain the same unless we amend the contract. We will have the responsibility to do that. But nothing else changes in the contract with BTS. It's
If we're
just,
can we take the motion at the next meeting? The only reason I say that.
Take your mask off and talk into the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. I have not read
the assignment?
the assignment.
Okay.
Okay, I haven't had it.
I could forward it to you.
I'm just concerned in agreeing and voting on something that I haven't read.
We might take, I have not seen it, but assignments are relatively simple. We
It's
might
very
take
simple.
a quick little break and
Okay.
and read it, and
Yeah, it's
Shirley
not
could
long.
probably answer any
Okay.
questions
It's,
we
yeah,
have.
it's very short.
Okay.
Yeah, could we-
If I could, this is not the same contract that we had originally, and the county had that contract because it was with the towers and things. Surely you saw that because you worked hard with Jeff about the tower, about that capability. So this is an assignment that takes it off of the shoulders of the Board of Supervisors and puts it on you.
I understand. I just haven't, I want to know what the wording says, Bob. I haven't, you're asking me to vote on something I haven't seen.
I think that's fine.
we can take a
I think
5-minute
it's
break, but
fine.
it's not like it's 20
yeah.
pages.
Just take
Yeah.
a quick break.
We'll take a quick break, and then Don will bring it, and unless somebody finds something really objectionable about it, which I don't foresee, but in case something comes up that people feel that way, we'll put it off until that can be answered. All right?
Okay.
Next, we'll take, well, if he's getting it now, why don't we just take a 5-minute break now, so when he brings it back, you can start reading. I hate to start on this next subject without then breaking.
Tell Nicholas.
Everybody's had a chance now to review this reassignment contract.
Can I make a motion?
Can Nicholas hear us?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can
Oh,
can you
sorry.
hear us?
Brought him back up. You unmuted the room now? Yeah. Okay. Nicholas, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Dated April Fool's Day.
Okay,
I know.
all right. Do you want a minute?
No.
Okay. Gary's motion?
A motion to accept this assignment of contract?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Which is the original now that I have to sign?
Oh, no, that,
The original I put right back on your,
This must be it.
yes. with
the one,
paperclip.
this looks like a copy.
Yeah, he made copies.
The one with the
I think
paperclip.
this is the original.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I'll sign that in a minute. Let's move on to the discussion of the Jesse Ball DuPont Foundation, getting ready for a
Okay.
present. I don't know, just to make sure Don and Bob know, I sent an email to Mark Walker, who is the guy from Jesse Ball DuPont Foundation, who we've been talking to, just to say, we've been busy, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a deadline for this, et cetera? And he says, no, he's still waiting to hear from 3 counties, have not responded to him yet with, do they even want to talk to them? So he's waiting for 3 counties to respond. He also said that he has, I should have brought the email with me. He has 1.5 million for everybody. I mean, that's it, period.
That's
No
it.
more. And that's all the
Oh.
Excuse me?
Sorry, I was just.
That's a total that he.
That's the total budget that he has.
That's the total budget for anybody who they accept. Not that they're going to do all the counties in the Middle Peninsula and the Northern Neck, but if they do one, would we get the 1.5, or would he just decide 500? But one thing he did say, he is more than willing, he said, go ahead, I tell we're looking to do a presentation, et cetera. And he is more than willing to talk to us prior to an official presentation to see, is this going along the right way, which I think we should definitely take him up on. It'll make a
Absolutely.
stronger presentation to the powers that be if he says, well, that looks good over there, but blah, 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 and we adjust accordingly. So when we have something, we will consider it a draft that we will invite him. He said he'd Zoom, come person to person or whatever. So whatever we come up with, it'll be a draft pending his comments and recommendations. And with that, Gary, it's
I
over
was
to you.
asking a question.
I'm sorry, if you're ready.
Okay, can you switch it over to slide share? Okay. Some of this is repeated, and I don't apologize, because we'll go through it quickly.
Nicholas hasn't seen it, right?
I don't remember.
Yes, I have. I saw some of this.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go through the first couple. This is really just to go ahead and describe how we got to places here. Identification of key parameters and mapping we had done to figure that out. Also, you probably saw Tyler's maps that he sent out, and there's a real confusion in the VATI maps that he sent out. We know that there's 193 homes that Bill Newborg is going to put in the VATI grant, right? There's 314 homes that show up within the, once you take away the RDOF things, there's 3, I'm sorry. Am I? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I apologize. There's 314 homes. I was just trying to talk to Sherry down there. So that's why the numbers are really screwed when you try and calculate all this. Now, the refined number, the best I can calculate is 2,917 parcels are less than 10-1. However, we have 2 projects. VATI, which takes that away, 193, and then this courthouse tower, which takes away about 1,000. So that puts us down in the realm of about 2,018 passes that are considered unserved. So you heard him talking about 2,700. He got that from our, actually, our first Russ grant. And what happened between our first Russ grant, which we had 2696, ABB had claimed Nutsville. And so that's how we get up to 2,917 homes, that little triangle that we've been talking about.
Failed microwave project.
For a failed microwave project that never happened. Okay? So that's where the numbers, I'm trying to correct them the best I can. This is where I believe we are right now in red.
I'm sorry, Gary, I got confused by that. Are you saying that the 2,700 that Mr. Carr was talking about is really 2,000?
It's really 2,000, yes, with these two grants.
With these two grants?
Okay?
Wait.
Without the two grants, it would be 2,917.
Okay, the two grants being,
FATI, okay, and the
CARES?
VA Broadband CARES Act.
okay. But the CARES, broadband CARES, you listed, identified as 1,000, but isn't it really at this moment only 300?
No, because they would not, that's what we're enabling, okay? However, you have to do the 5-mile radius, which we've done, okay? And there's I believe it was 706 roughly.
It's its ability to serve, not
Its
actual
ability to
service.
Oh, its
serve,
ability
not
to serve.
serve.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're down to 2,000. What would fall into the bucket of 2,000 unserved, even though those other 700 are not currently served, but could be
Yeah,
served?
They could be served.
Okay.
It's like ABB is running down your street,
Got it.
you don't get to
Right,
be unserved,
Yeah.
even though you don't take their service.
got it.
So, given this presentation by APB, it seems that it would be good if we don't use numbers like that, because right now, it's only 300. And so we don't want, like, if we were to decide to
We
go
don't
to
have
this
that
deal with
option.
APB,
You don't have that option of not using the 706, because that's what's in that qualifying circle. In other
Okay.
words,
so is that, when he's looking at like their RDOF, are those houses in
They-
their RDOF area where they have money?
they are not listed yet, because this is not, he doesn't have commercial customers yet. Once he does, they're gonna start looking at it and say, okay, what's within that 5-mile radius? And then they'll come up with the same number we do, which is 706 unserved residents.
I think the thing that's confusing, Gary, is you keep saying they, and I'm not sure who it is each time. So
Okay, sorry.
let's just step back, because the CARES money for the broadband deployment was based on requirements different from RDOF.
I understand. It doesn't matter. What I'm talking about, they are now considered served residents. Whether they take it or not, they are considered served because you can get the service. It's just like if you
Are you-
had three people
sorry.
on your block that took ABB service, and three people on your block said, I don't want that.
No, I understand how cable video programming works and a cable franchise.
Right.
That I got. But the CARES money that the county was given to put up the smart poles created, some of the smart poles have been put in, and that allowed 5 miles of service.
No.
No?
Totally different project.
Different project. I am talking about this tower behind the courthouse.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and they are providing a wireless service, and you have the way they will look at it, they'll put the 5-mile, well, actually on the proposal, we put a jagged line on one part of the circle to keep out of batting. Okay, that is defined as the service area. In other words, it follows the eastern Caratoman.
But am I right that are you suggesting that that disqualifies APB from serving any of those folks?
Yes,
That
Yes.
radius?
yes, it does. Dominion has a requirement. They cannot go ahead, just like these grants, that we're seeing, you can't serve people that already have service.
Although, the reason I'm pushing back a little bit, Gary, and you may be right, I'm having a tough time, because when the federal government identified the census block groups for people to bid on, are you absolutely certain? Because what the APB is saying, these are the census block groups that we bid on, and if you look at their ETC application to the Federal Communications Commission, it lists every single census block group in Lancaster County for which they have this,
They bid
you know,
on,
10% is over, what, a little over $1 million is going to go for Lancaster County deployment. And those areas have been identified, and they have a right to use that money to deploy to those customers. And I don't think if this tower is covering any portion of that, they've received money for a portion of what that tower is covering.
You're absolutely right, but this was done before the auction started. So, and I've asked you this question before, okay, and you said, well, I don't think it matters. But we have this CARES money that we received acknowledgement on the 28th, which is before the auction started.
Yep.
Okay, which is one of the qualifiers to get money. Okay, so, and the auction actually started on the 29th. So we have that.
Familiar.
That did not get registered on, and I don't know why Virginia didn't do it, or the federal government didn't do it, but didn't get registered. So now the question is, are we either operating illegally with BTS? That's really what you're coming.
No. I think what we're talking about here is overbuilding.
Right.
And there's no law against overbuilding in the state of Virginia. It's just that people don't generally do it. That's why APB was like, well, we're not going to overbuild.
No, with these programs, they can't, that is exactly what they're trying to prevent.
Well, I know, because the money's going to people who are unserved. I guess the reason look, we'll drill down on this, but I just think that the way I understand it, as far as the tower and BTS, there's not a single customer being served yet. And I know what you're going to say, like cable, but cable franchising is quite a bit different than the CARES money in the tower. That's not, it's a different statute. So I think, you're making a really good point. We should look at it. I just don't want everyone to walk away from the table and assume that those 1,000 homes are off the table with respect to APP or anybody else for that matter, since it's unclear where the service is for those people.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is unserved? Because if they're proposing fiber to every unserved, and the people in the 5-mile radius of the tower are getting wireless, those who accept it are getting wireless. So are you saying that they don't have a right to try to get subscribers within the 5-mile circle?
You're making a really good point.
Let me
Go ahead.
try and, basically what Jimmy said, he can't do anything that's not unserved, and I remember now, it's a Dominion rule. It's part of this whole build-out. They won't compete with people that already have service.
But what level of service?
And that's what I was going to tell you. 25.3 is
Right.
the bottom line.
Broadband.
For broadband. So if BTS is successful, which I believe they will be, in getting their units up and going and all that stuff, then you have a served area, which is a 5-mile radius around the courthouse. And
But that's 300 people, I thought.
no,
It's
it's more, it's
1,000?
more.
Okay.
That's 300 people the county is paying.
That's what we're paying for.
Oh, okay.
300 are free.
Okay.
Okay, it's 706 is the number that
Okay.
I'll go back and get the exact number,
Okay.
but that's what sticks in my head as the number in the 5-mile.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll pin this down, but
Yeah.
so what you're saying is there might be a
Can
figure.
I ask a question?
Yeah,
Gary,
sure.
the restriction for overbuilding or the desire, is it a desire that they don't want to overbuild, or is it a restriction with their funding partners?
No, it's a Dominion, because of this pilot program, they were trying to keep Dominion from knocking people that were in business out of business. And so they gave Dominion, they can only serve unserved residents.
That's Dominion said that to All Points Broadband, right?
That's part of Dominion's rule, and that then
Yeah.
transfers to All Points. And that was my
But
question.
it's not because of federal funding or anything, or grants or anything like that. It's just
No, it's part of
Dominion's
the,
desire not to.
it's part of the requirements for the pilot project with Dominion. And so,
Being their ISP.
You know, one question, I mean, he kept saying unserved, understood. What about underserved? Because,
but these won't be underserved. They
no,
will-
I'm just talking, not just your, the CARES, but just getting back to what he said. We are there to do the unserved, but what about the underserved? The
Yes.
idea of expansion, what you were trying,
Yes.
what you were trying to get him
Yeah.
to address. There are underserved who do not get 25-3. Should
And
they?
that would be considered unserved.
Right, so
It's
they
by
would
the
have
reason.
to go ahead, as they go down that street,
Yeah.
they would have to, if the people want the service.
They'd have to serve,
They have to.
take it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what we're getting to, my concern at least, is we would want, if we wanted to do this with APB, we would want to keep as many homes eligible as possible. So to kick out 1,000 homes, because one thing my understanding was when the county decided to do the CARES Act funding and all that, I had just started the board, and Margie had the big concern that that would, could adversely affect the RUS application
grants.
because of this issue that you're bringing up. But what you're telling me is that it's just a Dominion rule, okay? Right.
It's multiple things have that rule.
Okay.
And
Right.
that's where you're confusing.
But at this point, it's, when we go, if we were, it sounds like APB wants a deal soon, or at least a memorandum of understanding. And so it could be based on who is served today as the date of that memorandum of understanding.
I think once they find that,
not
they'll be
potential.
out.
Well, I think that I don't think that we should predetermine that. I think that if I'm a resident in that
I'd be
5-mile
pissed.
radius,
Yeah.
I would be mad. And I think the intention, sitting here listening to everybody when the decision was made for the county to go for that CARES Act money and do it, is that we needed something, which I agreed with. We needed something, because people need something now. They can't wait 5 years until it's built. So, with all that being said, Gary, I get your point, but I think when we negotiate with APB, we answer the questions they ask. We don't have to volunteer what Jeff's plans are or what have you. That's what they're gonna be doing with us. They're gonna be giving us the information. They're not telling us what their plans are in the future. So to the extent they ask us to disclose what that CARES Act money is and exactly who that's gonna be, we're happy to disclose that and all that, but we don't have to talk about Jeff's plans of what he's planning to do, because our contract with BTS is for 300 homes. That's it.
But, okay.
All I'm saying is, let's not
Give too much insight.
cut it out, you know what I mean?
I-
Let's keep open the
Well, let
opportunity.
me
You seem to
put-
be saying like, no, Jeff's gonna be serving those homes and
No,
that's it,
no,
and we're cut
I
out.
think you haven't even listened to me. Okay, no, there is a solution, solution to this. And one is we just turn off the tower.
Yeah.
Well, there
okay.
you go.
Right.
Okay, and
Right.
then when do you turn off the tower, in my mind? Because you give people some type of service. You already heard it's not till 2024.
Well, that's the completion date. And
No,
if you
that's
don't,
completion.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the completion. If you don't mind, I was going to offer the same thing you just brought up. The CARES Act money requires us to provide that service for 1 year.
Right.
That was the,
Oh.
that was the proposal. So, and if I heard Jimmy Carr correctly, he said that if Lancaster joined them in Phase 2, they would start connecting people in August of '22. And it would be completed in 2024. So, before
The
you get to
rollout.
August 22 is more than a year. So as Gary just mentioned, to keep from having an overlap there, we simply turn the tower off after
Okay.
1 year.
Okay.
So, but Gary, that was excellent, and that may be a great idea, but Does that mean, though, that the number is still off on the 2,700? So is it 213
Okay,
times
and-
whatever number? So it's
yeah,
not the
okay.
575?
2,917 parcels without. Subtract 193 from that, and that's where we're at without doing the CARES Act.
Okay, so then does that mean that the 575,000 would be even less?
Yeah, it's 213 per.
It
unserved.
is, okay.
Per passing.
I heard it right then, okay. So it'd be something less than 575,000 is our match.
That's if it's fluid though, right? If they're going by unserved customers, 213, or are they saying, are they backing into that number because of the,
That's where they're both.
right now they think there's 2,700, they know what their CapEx is gonna be and OpEx to do that, and they came up with some number. Will that, so if it's not 2,700, if it's 2,000, will it be 317 times 2,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or do they just want that flat number?
Yeah, that's what, it could be a flat,
So
it might
Nicholas,
be
it's
higher.
your job to figure that out. That's
Yeah.
like one of your first,
I got an even better question. Why don't we just go to DuPont, ask for the 500,000 that APB needs, give it to them, and keep us out of it completely?
Kevin always brings it down so simple.
I didn't hear it, I didn't hear it.
Ask DuPont for the 575.
Could you lean back a little farther away from the microphone?
Okay, yes, I'll do that.
Give him one for the collar.
But, yeah, I need one for the collar. As Kevin said, got it right, is that just ask DuPont for the 575.
Why are you even entertaining this when, in fact, if we were to emulate what the Eastern Shore is doing, we could have another CARES-funded tower to serve people that don't have it now until we get to them. It would be a placeholder that we would have that keeps perhaps competition out, perhaps it doesn't. But my take, maybe I'm wrong, I just don't see where I'm wrong, but it seems to me that the Eastern Shore is doing it correctly. And they're the best, they care the most about their own people. And they're going to give good service over profit. And I don't see why we're even, well, it's your initial decision what you're going to do, of course. But I would like to have a contest to see how far I can throw that guy.
I mean,
I'll catch him and then,
I'll be honest, he put out a deal that was so good, it's hard to believe. And that's, I always have a hard time until I have to see something in writing. So that's one of the things you have to see. But if it's that good, then what our focus should be are all the people who are partially served at that point. It's just shifting the directions. I think we still do stuff. But you got to look at the numbers, and I'm shocked when I saw the deal.
Well, I mean, straight off the top, since he's working with Northern Neck and Dominion, all these poll fees, all these, certification fees and all this stuff are gone. Number two, he's not pulling cable. A company that pulls cable professionally for a living is doing it, AKA Dominion.
Right.
That's all they do is pull cable. So that's a huge cost knocked off for him. Really, all he's doing is subletting the fiber from Dominion. Let's be real
good
about
way to
this.
put it.
Well, he's leasing, but that is not unusual. Everybody in
Well,
the
no,
marketplace does that.
Not arguing. Like when I worked for CLEC, we literally bought our lines from Verizon at
Exactly.
20% cheaper and then tacked 10% on and sold them to the customer.
Right. I mean, that's not unusual. I mean, I think that the distinction here that people need to realize is that Lancaster County Broadband Authority is not an ISP today.
But you can be.
I'm not, yeah, and you know what? I've been creating ISPs for 30 years, and you could get that from me for free service. But the point is, running a business that provides broadband services it's a real business, and customer service and compliance, and so it's like where APB is today versus where we are today. There is a long leg, get up to speed curve, and maybe you know, that's what Nicholas is here for, and I am not poo-pooing that. I'm just saying, we have to be realistic about where they are, what they've done. They're actually in the market taking advantage of a federal fund that you can't even play in unless you can demonstrate in your election notice that you have the wherewithal to do it, and you have been doing it, and doing it well as of December 1, 2020.
Rather
not-
than look at APB as the model, you have ESVBA as the model.
Well,
And
we
they
have
are
Nicholas
running-
who set that up.
Wait a minute, they are running a business. Their broadband authority is directly involved in running that business. They pay their people to run that business. And to me,
Agreed.
that's the model that you look at, not APB.
No.
Can I
It's a-
talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so, first of all, I'm sure that Nicholas, I will say this incorrectly as far as what Eastern Shore has done and will do, but you can correct that. But let me create a vision for you, since I was going to do the vision statement,
All right.
okay? Okay, so from my, albeit limited research into the broadband authorities in Virginia, the only ones I recognize as having any real success is Eastern Shore and Roanoke Valley, okay? And I believe Roanoke Valley is the middle mile. I don't know if they go all the way to, I know they're an Oatwood network, definitely does the middle mile. Eastern Shore goes all the way to the home, and they're reaching out. And from our conversations with Robert, he said that one of the reasons they decided to take it to the homes and become an ISP is because a lot of these ISPs were like, oh yeah, they just wanted to do these clusters of more populated areas. They didn't want to go out, okay? So now we have APB, though, who wants to do the isolated areas because they've got all this federal money that they, are going to spend, and all these things that Kevin just talked about, being able to leverage Dominion. So what if we could strike a deal with Dominion where we could tap into their middle mile, where we don't have to build that middle mile, and they can do it cheaper, better. Go ahead, let APB use, just hear me out,
I'm listening.
let APB serve the customers. So, think of Dominion as sort of an open network for us, only we're in it and APB, but we're not competing with APB, which is what they want, because they're going to get these homes, okay, the underserved. But what if our plan is to contract with Dominion to hook up to that middle mile of theirs, run an ISP, get our own government facilities? And I know everybody said, whoa, we've got time left on the contracts for like the government complex or the schools and stuff like that. But it seems to me all those contracts have the government can terminate for convenience clause that's part of the, the last part of the contract, the attached, which is all that. So we could get all of the government buildings, we could get all the schools where the money is, right? Build out, so you've got dollars coming in the door there, then build out to all of these places to get lousy service from American Broadband and build out from there. But,
Compete.
pardon me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
be a competitor.
And compete, but the way we're gonna get into the Dominion's middle mile is by playing game with APB.
If you want to do this, that's the last thing I'll say, I promise you.
No, it isn't, but go ahead.
He answered a question about how they were selected. Ask the question of Dominion about the RFP that they put out. Who did they put that out to?
We could probably get that.
No, we already know that answer.
We
to
know
that.
the answer,
Okay.
but you can officially get that.
You can get that on our team room, actually.
Okay.
I think what Bob's hinting to, it had nothing to do with an ISP. It was asking people who were interested, counties is what they were looking for.
They didn't send it out to ISPs, they sent it out to counties.
And we responded to it, actually.
Amazingly, they're the only ISP that answered that, amazingly. And then the coincidence is that his mother is on the state
She's on the,
Delegate.
Finance committee or something.
deputy on the
for
finance
General
committee.
Assembly.
Well, that's why I want to know who
Amazingly.
the members of the entity are.
that's,
I mean, when you do business with the government, like the federal government, you have to disclose, you have to drill down who are your owners, your actual owners, who are the members of
Well,
the
you want to know
LLC.
family members too.
Well, you do have to disclose, you know?
And do you know who was his big brother at University of Virginia?
FCC.
She's the racket.
This-
I'm
this
just
is-
Evan
saying.
Feynman.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, what a coincidence. It's amazing, these people know
So
each other.
can't we ask those questions? I thought the government could get that information, because that way we need the information to determine conflicts of interest.
May
They
I
have to
make,
disclose it all in their long form application.
Yeah.
We could-
Anything that's 10% or more.
I meant there's a lot
Well,
of
so
comments
maybe we
coming
ask
out.
for that.
Can't get that.
Yeah, but I don't have to disclose that me and Bob go fishing every other day.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the way the world works. I mean,
But I
let's
don't
face
have to
it.
disclose it,
Yeah.
because we're
True.
not exchanging money. I'm just
I know
like,
that.
Bob, I'm sending this your way, can you make it
I
happen?
Okay.
All right, there's a lot that has to be discussed.
There's a lot of things.
Big picture, I think that we could do our own ISP, but,
I think
oh,
you
I've
are,
never seen, this is what I haven't seen, and I back up for 1 second, and then I'll stop talking, Gary, is I've never seen a county pay for 100%. I've seen, like, in my research, I've seen, like, NASA put in money for, to help with Eastern Shore. Private money also went into Roanoke. It's really a combination of kind of like partnerships with private companies, grant money, and county money. My concern, if it's 100% county money, we just pay for it all, is when will we see that return on investment? How,
Well, more
how long
importantly,
it is. I
when
don't-
will
I
they
don't
get
know.
service?
And when will we get service?
I mean, I'm looking at timing, these people are unserved, we want them served. What's the fastest way to get that done? And the least cost to the county at the same time?
Don't worry about the cost to the county, it has to be a bargain to the county. It's up to the county to decide, it's up to the taxpayers, but through their representative government, about what they're willing to pay for what they want. And the level of service is a big part of what they would be willing to pay for. And they have the example of the Eastern Shore caring more about the level of service than they do the profit. So I just don't get it. I mean,
It's not the
I'm never
profit.
going to get it, I suppose.
It's not the profit. Under the statute, our rates have to be set to pay for debt service. So
Has to be
the
competitive.
financial model has to work, that we can pay back the county if it's a loan. If it's a flat out, here's the money.
No, it's a loan.
So if it's a loan, the statute requires, the Wireless Service Act requires us, when we set rates, to include debt service repayment. And
Well-
however that works, that's why I keep saying we need to get with like financial people who knew how to run those numbers, because
Go to Davenport.
I don't know how to run those numbers.
We are gonna go to Davenport, so, but what you're, the first person that signs up isn't gonna pay $10.6 million.
No, it's over time.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
it's
it's
not,
over time.
but people who know how to run those numbers need to run those
And
numbers.
we've got people who can run those
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, but may I suggest we go back to the Jesse Paul DuPont Foundation? Because that's the immediate, are we gonna get money, what we need to do, which can all be factored in, a point that Gary started to make, and Kevin, I loved it, get $575,000 from DuPont.
okay, anyway. I'm just reviewing this because there seems to be, some people didn't understand where I was going with a lot of this stuff. I know I've said it several times, and I keep on getting, we set up some fundamental,
Can you put it back up?
Put the slide.
Put the slide-
oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it and thinking
okay,
this
we
up.
got it.
I apologize. We had various things, qualifiers, okay? You'll hear from some people thinking we should have put a geriatric measure in here, and quite frankly, I don't know how, there's a group here who wants to have that in there. Okay, but I don't know how to get the information, and they suggested going and interviewing 7,000
No.
passes. And
Next point.
Okay, I'm just, hey,
You've made the point.
I made the point.
You've spoken for them.
Okay.
Good.
Anyway,
Geriatrics, and I don't want to do that.
again, this has cable, and as I said, I was just getting these numbers, take them as you will. Those, I think, are the best numbers I can put in front of you right now. Okay? The student, where they are, this is dated, but it's a good idea, gives you a good idea where the students are dispersed. I don't think that much has happened in 2 years. You know, you've got, well, maybe more, Kevin. I don't know.
Probably lost 300 students in 2
Okay.
years.
Yeah, we can't find them.
Go to Dan's desk.
Again, the regions were simply geographical and sort of with ABB. You can see this is going down here, right here. You can see this is going down Route 3, and then it comes down here because ABB essentially, that's what the green area is. And then it goes to Western Caratoman and comes out. So you have this peninsula as one. Region 2 is the middle. And then Region 3 is essentially our 3 townships. Okay. Again, this is all macro work. It was just trying to figure out what they are. I wouldn't pay that much attention to the numbers there because it's missing a lot of components in the cost. But this was just strictly, how much is it per mile? Okay, how many miles do you have? I don't have the miles of drops in here. This was just simply road miles to get the thing past the home. Some things that does come out is 217 homes with students don't have internet access.
That is
Okay.
the point.
And
Right.
35% of the students, that's approximately 35% of the
Yeah,
students.
that's what's going to help us.
Wait, how old is that 217 number?
As I said, it's 2 years old.
All right, I was just
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. I mean, if you get new data, we can
We
plug
got
it in.
750 hotspots currently assigned.
Okay. Well, yeah, but how many per home?
Oh, I have one hotspot for every 2 kids.
Okay,
Wow.
so there's some homes with 8 kids. There's some bigger than you, bigger families than yours.
Not me.
So, Gary, is this the upgraded, is this the same presentation that we saw last time?
There's some parts in here I just wanted to emphasize.
Did you get the new GIS? or
Yeah,
is
part of it.
Part of it, okay.
You'll see, I
curious
just
what
wanted
it
to
was.
emphasize some of the things.
Okay.
Okay, again, mission and moving of everything everywhere eventually, and more specifically, enabling gigabit per second fiber service that can be upgraded as demand requires. The reason I say, everybody says, well, not everybody needs gigabit per second service, and I would agree with that statement. However, Nielsen's law projects, and has been good for 39-plus years, right now, it's approximately 100 megabits per second. It's growing at 50% compounded each year. So that means in 2026, people will need almost a gig, 750 megabits per second. And that's for a family of 4, which are pretty good, solid users of the internet. Okay, it happened to be a coincidence, but 35% of the residents are unserved in the county. You know that it's in the western part of the county and central. This is why we came to 2 phases, unserved and then upgrade other county residents, because people who have cable, they still haven't upgraded as they continually promise. And Sherry, you actually had someone saying, why isn't Lancaster LCBA upgrading ABB's service, right, on the website?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I corrected them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, yeah. Okay, so really what we came to, Region 1 is the number 1 priority, Region 2 is second, Region 3 is a distant third, and it's because of the numbers. There's just not that many unserved out there, okay? And the western county, part of the county, has been woefully neglected, if you will.
Density?
Yeah, yeah, so, well, you've seen the maps.
Right, okay.
The other thing that we had decided a while ago that hasn't been discussed, this is new, is we said LCBA will only support passing the premises costs unless we have a specific grant that covers the passes, or some other situation. Because we felt getting the fiber past the home was the critical piece, and every dollar you spent on a drop is keeping us from further getting everybody else, and that's why that decision was made. And then the third thing that we use, extenuating circumstances, such as covering a difficult area. And this is really why the VATI grant was chosen for this area. Initially, we were trying to do Region 1, but we had to split it in two to make the economics work for the grant. And quite frankly, we didn't trust ABB to come back in the next year to do, it's a trust type of thing. So we went and said, what was going to be around $1 or $2 million investment in Lancaster County. And then that's how the VATI proposal got written up for that region, because it's Swiss cheese. Basically, ABB cherry picked. And you've seen the map. There's 5 homes here, 10 homes there, all over the place. Okay, so I've also updated this. We know it's approximately 500. I forgot the exact number. We can put that in for 2021. Okay, I had this in this phase, because fundamentally we're in phase 2. We're just figuring out how to pay and then get the construction and everything else going. It's not simple, but it's
Sorry.
I'm making it sound simple, but
It's a big deal, it is.
It's a big deal. Okay, basically, and Don, I wanted to confirm the exact number, but I thought it was 482,000 from the two VATI, from the VA Broadband Cares grants.
It was, it's just under $500,000.
Yeah, okay, and then we have, I think that was the right VATI number, 4.3. I know that's not what we get, but the
Yeah.
grant was 4.3.
4.2, 4.3, rounded
Okay.
out.
And then right now, in the projected format, we have 10.6. Okay, let me just blow this up, because this is gonna get awful small in a second. Okay, again, the strategy is just to sweep down and get the peninsula on there. And the idea was not, okay, so you've gotten that one. In the Nutsville project, Lil Walton, we did this estimate for the solar project, that's why I had, but I expanded it a little bit to cover a few more of the homes. Like, there's a group of very low-income homes here, it's about 8 homes. And we didn't have that in the initial Nutsville project. But anyway.
About how many homes would be in that project?
I think
Give or take.
I'll give you the exact number in a
Okay.
second.
Oh, okay.
There's roughly 175
We can wait till you get
homes. No, that won't be on that,
Oh,
because
okay.
I didn't have that separate. The project cost would be $1.5 million, and that's running fiber from courthouse, a hut to circled area. If we include the hut with all the other stuff, one-time charges for a circuit, it'd be about $2 million. Okay. Sorry about the eye chart. I can call this one up separately. An alternative way to look at it, and so that first one, I was thinking, just ask for $1.5 million for the Nutsville project. I don't think that has a high probability of success when you only have $1.5 million in a total pot. So then the other one is come back and say, what about over multiple years? In other words, it's still targeting $1.5 million, but I got to jigger around some of the numbers here, so it's not looking funny. Right now I have 6 years, and you can see the average. I wanted to have an average near 300,000.
That's per year.
Per year, right. And you can see the number varies. It depends on which project you pick. And the way to do that was to get like this heavy line here, this line, and up to here, I believe I went, and then this, essentially the backbone of the projects. I took those out and shifted that over to the county. Now, in reality, those are all buried conduits, so that comes out to a much more expensive price. So the county's price will probably be maybe up to 50% less on there, just to give you a perspective. But for right now, sorry, we know way over it. So the thought, this is giving you year one, that's the price, mainly because you're doing a lot of, this 548, you have a lot of what they call the buried conduit. And same thing in the second year. Now, what I would suggest to do to get it 5-year, 1.5 million, is take out, these red is essentially a agglomeration of a lot of homes here. And actually it turns out to be the most homes, 116 homes. But these are what I would call middle-class homes. Prices probably in the 200 to 400,000, most of them, when you look at them. And then there's a couple of above 400,000 for the home improvement area on there. I don't have that plugged in here, but that gives you an idea.
But this is just Nutsville.
Yeah, I'm getting down to other areas. I'm talking, the first one,
I'm asking a question.
yeah.
It's
No,
just-
one is Shore Drive, okay?
So that is
That-
part of
that-
Nutsville?
No,
No.
Nutsville is up here.
Okay.
These are additional, you kept on saying, when I was
wanna
going
give
through
them
the map,
choices,
I don't have this one. What
Yeah.
about this one? What about this one?
Right.
So
They're just
and-
choices.
Yeah, and I'm trying to go ahead and say, we can pick virtually any neighborhood, okay? You have this North Church area, again, lower to sort of middle income area. And again, I want to get the color-coded dots on there, and we'll have those.
Is that Maratico?
No,
No, this is
this is
there's
the
Shore Drive over there.
Norwood Church
Norwood.
1 and 2.
Okay, I see
We
it now.
we split it in two. That black box is number 2. Okay.
So
And
the presentation to DuPont, just so I understand what you're proposing here. So it's sort of like, these are the different areas. In year one, the money would go for
this area right here.
Shore
just this-
Drive.
Just
And
that.
then as we go out to year two, we've got, I can't read the small print.
Maratico.
Maratico, which is the red
Church,
dots.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
And that also means that you're doing from this to here as a county, and that's what's costing.
So to put this presentation together for Mark, you'd have to,
Oh, this
have-
needs a lot of cleaning up.
yeah, no, I'm saying one thing that's gonna be really important to them is the community of interest that dovetails with their mission, goals. You know, the people of Shore Drive, the
The-
people of
Yeah.
Moratico, Norwood, Church, right? It's like, why to make this investment in this particular area, the benefit that community's gonna receive
Right.
and
Yeah,
the need,
This
right?
is a very low-income area
Shore Drive
and
is-
has a lot of students in that area.
So that's a
okay.
really good story.
Yeah, Shore Drive.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
I spent a lot of time in that area.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, I'm sorry that this is, I didn't cut, I'm trying to do too many things on one slide. You see where these black boxes are?
Mm-hmm.
We eliminated those because those were fairly well-off, or high-end
Oh, yeah,
homes.
yeah.
Okay? Down here in Greenvale Marina, those are relatively lower income homes. Also, Manaskin, now these are actually very expensive, and I probably will come over here and pick out 2 or 3 of the homes there, but, you're gonna be passing. But the thought is, the county would have to build this is close, where's the Nutsville thing? It's, yeah,
But
that may be.
Mark's not opposed to serving well-off people and charging them. for it,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm
He
saying,
actually
charge
said
them.
that. Remember, he said, it's okay
You happen to benefit
if
some.
can
No, no,
Get to
benefit.
the lower
but I
end.
would like to say, okay, you got a 1,300-foot drive or something like that, we're charging you for that.
Right,
Okay.
They can
Yeah,
afford
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You go to them and say, this is how you can connect quickly. But, as I said, trying to look at the county, and that would be the backbone for that. So it gives you an idea, the numbers need to be fixed, the drawing needs to be fixed, you can look and see what he sent. Initially, we were under the impression of looking for $1 to $5 million projects. Now we're looking for something smaller, okay? And so the way to do that is, I
Spread it out.
forgot what he said, but it's basically getting rid of this first line, and I can't read it. Can anybody read that on the figures?
Nope.
Okay. You have the drawings that he had sent out, so you
Yeah,
can look at it.
right.
But it's basically the conduit. And as Nicholas and I have talked about, you don't have to do it conduit, but it means you need to get pole leases and all that, all the other stuff that go with it.
Not to mention, with the weather we have and the areas we're in, conduit's probably the best way to go.
Right. Yes, there's some value to it, but we have to do it. This was a proposal that I thought until I may take this one off the table. But what Don helped me find was, we were looking at county properties. And I was shocked, our recycling center is one of the highest places in the county. This is a 100-foot contour here, well off of where the recycling part is, where the star is. The nice part here, when you look at this captures mid to northern part of 354 Peninsula. And the problem is really mid-peninsula. It's from Heritage Point to
Bertrand.
Doggett's, or
Oh, the blackout zone, yes.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's actually from the time you turn on to 354 from 200 to
okay.
past Dog.
Okay, so that would be all encompassed in
Yeah.
a tower there. So that would be
You can
the
guarantee yourself on-
advantage of having a tower.
I like this
you can guarantee
telecom
yourself
dessert
when it's gonna
area.
drop it.
Oh, I'm sorry, desert.
I just thought I'd mention it.
Go ahead and have a dessert there, I don't care.
A lot of sand.
Anyway, and then they'd have to cut it, access either through the dump, which is roughly here, or come up one of the road, whichever.
River
is-
Road's gonna be quick. Well, there's no
It's
fiber.
quick, well, there's no fiber there yet. So, but, you know, with the projects that we're talking about, there will be fiber, so, anyway. And again, that was my point. If Nutsville is the first build-out, you'll be able to go ahead and get fiber directly there quickly, too. New tower, I talked to Mark Barnes, he says it's at least 6 months before you can begin construction for a new tower. That's why it's nice to get on an existing tower. Now, what's interesting, one of the problems Kevin has found is they're dead spots. And that's what I meant by the desert, or desert, as the case may be. I'm missing that, but anyway. And again, we can own any piece of it. We own the property, so right now we get roughly, or used to get, or still get $1,200 a month for just having the property back here?
It was 1,400.
1,400, okay. Now, do we want to upgrade? We build the tower and then just license to the telecoms? Because it'd be nice to bring Verizon,
Sure.
AT&T, and T-Mobile out to that area. And based on what they're charging us, their equipment is probably heavier than what we have. So for 3, I'm thinking it's anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 per month that you would make off of that. Now, to build a tower, it's going to cost you a couple $100,000, and then I think you're probably going to have site prep, if you will. So I would put 300. If we were to put fixed wireless, but today, I'm not sure that makes sense. That would be another $300,000 of equipment. So that's why I said somewhere between $550,000 and $700,000 would be the cost of that project. So, as I said, that's a potential project.
What I like the idea of, I like the first two. I think we need to propose 2 things. One, as we said a couple of weeks ago, say Nutsville, Maratico, I'm not saying those are the ones we'll choose. We choose to get the number of homes, unserved, underserved, number of students, et cetera. You know, low income, all of that. Then I'd like the idea that you would propose about, well, here's a second alternative, here's how much that would cost. Second alternative, the 5-year plan, where we can do this one this year, the county puts this, et cetera, and we would propose this region and this region. which gives him options to say, we would consider maybe a 3-year plan, whatever they would consider, we can adjust numbers. But that gives them more flexibility, and it does lock us into getting money for the next 3, 4, 5 years. So I think we give him both plans, no matter which areas we choose, we give him both plans. One thing he says, we're interested in what you're planning, no matter who he's talking to, planning, et cetera. Well, this shows a plan. And we're giving him the option, we'll take either one. We may have a preference, but we'll take either one if we can get one. So I think we should go with both plans to him. What areas we choose.
Well, for
with
the
right
initial
numbers.
discussion, that's fine. Then
Yeah,
you
and
write-
he'll
then
tell
you
us.
write- Then you write up and do, I assume, the way I understand it, you send a write-up, then they decide if you can come in and do a presentation to their whole board.
Well, he said he'd do a Zoom, or maybe even
Okay.
come out, but a Zoom is probably what he'll wind up doing. We can, he can see all of this, and he'll say, well, that's good, we hadn't considered, no, we don't like to do 3, 4, 5-year projects, take that off. However, so we will get his advice and guidance, tighten it up, what he thinks it should focus more on or whatever.
Right.
We tighten it up, does this look good? It does, and that's what goes forward for whatever amount we come up with.
Now, here's an alternative, and again, depends on our decisions and how we move forward. We know we're gonna have to confirm what parts of Kilmarnock, Irvington are bad, okay? Do we pick a neighborhood there? Okay, somehow we have to figure out how to hook into the Dominion lines. I like your idea, except I don't think we'll be allowed to, because Dominion has the same issue that they can't go into compete with other people that are already out there. So even if LCBA goes to Dominion to get the thing, so then this goes and says, we have to have some fiber as LCBA to attack the areas that we know have bad service. I think Jason also said he also has bad service from ABB.
He has said it many times.
Okay, so I mean, anybody who gets buffering and things of that nature, we're gonna have to do some surveys, I guess, to find out where they're exactly located. But there's no doubt in my mind, this is part of what ABB has been promising us for 3 years, and they have not delivered at all.
This would be a
That
great
is-
incentive for them to change in those
Well-
areas that we don't choose.
Well, the other point is, we have not paid them for the VATI proposal. Okay? So the question is, if you decide to go forward with this other proposal from APB, do you pull out of that last minute? I know nobody's gonna be thrilled with us, but, the bottom line is, it's a better deal.
Please not let us hurt their feelings.
Okay, well, I'm not worried about that, I'm worried about the other counties. but-
So Gary, I thought some of the Vati area did not overlap with RDOF, and that
That's why you
APB
get,
was,
yeah.
so an APB was only looking at those RDOF areas that were in Vati, is that correct?
No, they are looking for anybody who doesn't have, is underserved or
Oh, well, I think that if we decided to go with APB, that we
shouldn't spend.
don't take the Vati.
Yes,
just-
and I think so, but again, I don't know.
I mean, do you want ABB and
Well-
copper versus
No, no, I agree.
anybody who reads in the paper a comparison of, oh, am I gonna get ABB and their lousy service and copper fiber, or I'm gonna get Dominion? Because the Dominion's name's attached to it.
It's a big
People
name,
are
it's a
going
draw,
to
it's a draw.
be like, it's going to be reliable.
Not necessarily in
That's
our
what's gonna
county,
be in
but-
their
That's
mind.
true.
But I'm just saying, that's gonna be the thought
No.
process. So I think that is something we need to
What
consider.
do you think are the chances of getting NASA to establish a facility here in Lancaster County so we can get a big grant from them and be like Eastern Shore?
The same chance of you opening another dental business.
It could happen if you went broke.
But now, we have an issue as we start talking about Vati. We have a meeting on the
Do we need to
15th.
take a break or? Just go.
We have a meeting on the 15th, the contract negotiations. No decision will have to be made then. This is DHCD saying, here's the contract, and what we expect from you, blah, blah, blah. So we're not signing anything. But then we'll come back and say, this is what they expect, this is what it looks like, blah, blah, blah. The next thing, based on what you're saying, if we're gonna pull out a baddie, we haven't got months to make a decision. Now we have to put APB and Dominion into the equation, because they're gonna expect us to make a decision probably in 2 weeks after we get the contract. I don't think they expect us to sit for 3 months. We're gonna have to make a decision sooner rather than later. Do we stay in or out? If out, we're either doing APB, based on some of the comments we've heard, or we're gonna take money from the county and go our way, with Nicholas showing us how to do this, and start putting in our own fiber, which will take longer, because we're starting almost from scratch. We're not having APB doing, we have to get whoever we're gonna get. Nicholas gave me some ideas about that, but that's gonna take a little bit more time. But those are our only options if we wanna have something to the population in the next 2 months to say, here's where we're going.
So is Dominion under any, requirement's too strong a word, but from the state's standpoint, are they under any obligation to provide their fiber to any ISP that wants it? In other words, if the Broadband Authority decided to be an ISP and could take advantage of the fiber that Dominion's going to have on its poles, that gives you a very fast start, because really you're just expanding out. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was having a little
So
difficulty there.
I don't think that Dominion is required to, but what I'm thinking is, as part of a negotiation tool, is we say, okay, we'll do your deal with APB, but you're gonna give us access to your middle mile. And you're also not gonna charge us a fortune to hook to your poles when we take it to all these other places that
Well-
APB has no. I'm just making this up.
Yeah, I
You're the
know,
one who
that
deals
full,
with these
that
people.
full part, though, I mean, they've got to offer it on a competitive basis to all people who are eligible to be on their polls. So
Okay.
they can't, they're not going to give us a sweet deal there, but there's no reason that we couldn't ask for an indefeasible right of use similar to what APB has to their middle mile, which I think that's an excellent idea for everywhere else besides the APB area,
Right.
right? Yeah, no,
Right.
I like that idea.
I mean, that would be the deal, okay, we'll let APB come in, but for the areas APB refuses to go for reasons only known to them,
And then by the end of the
We
year,
wanna
when
provide it.
broadband providers
They-
are deemed
they-
to be Title II
Well-
telecommunication carriers, they have to give us the same rate they're giving to everybody else in the polls.
there you go.
So, we're good.
What? Huh?
I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, I would negotiate most favored nation clause, pricing for the customers that they're going to serve in the 2,700 unserved areas. Best pricing for the authority for dark fibers and lit services and IP services. And I don't know why we would say in the 2,700 identified areas that are unserved, okay, we're not going to go in there for a year or 2 years, whatever X amount of time. But if they're providing bad service, we should be allowed, after X amount of time, we should be allowed to go in there and provide service.
And compete, yes.
Because, I mean, part of this is not just about getting, initially you want to get service to everyone because you need service. But it's also about choice.
Right.
You don't want to create a monopoly where people don't have like Dominion Power, where no one has a choice.
Yeah. Well,
So I think we can negotiate a lot of this stuff. Say, we'll let you do, we'll entertain entering this agreement, but we're going to be allowed to compete. We're going to be allowed to provide services. Maybe in the 2,700 where you're making the big investment, we understand that you need a return on your investment. But after year 1, year 2, if your service is so bad that the customers don't want to hook up to you, they should have a choice to go somewhere else.
So
And it may not be the authority; it could be anybody else.
I have a question. So we know Dominion's paying for all this through the smart grid technology and all the grants they got from that.
Can you talk a little bit louder?
that was
Because when you speak, Kevin, everybody listens, because you actually speak a little, and you're one of these people who don't say a lot, and when you say something, it's worth listening to.
NCEF.
Yeah, it's on.
That's what they say about me.
All right,
That's
so,
not what they said about me or
Identify
Gary.
they.
so we know Dominion is getting money from the government mandate of smart grid. Correct or incorrect, Nick? Do you think so? The smart grid that they're being they have to have that in place by a certain period of time.
What are we
I don't know if
talking?
they're getting money.
All right, so the question is, or if they're not getting money, does anybody know if when whoever federal level or state level said smart grid has to be up and working, is there any kind of that has to be a public network, or no, they can just make it a total private network, I guess is the biggest question I'm asking.
I think it's a private network for their own needs. I mean, it probably goes if they don't get federal money as grant, as handouts or appropriations or whatever. It goes into their rate case and will probably raise their rates to support it. But I think they're looking at this saying, okay, how can I turn this cost center into a profit center?
Right. No,
And and I mean I think that's their whole angle.
And I mean, if they're
So
talking
they come out, they look altruistic by assisting, broadband,
yeah,
but they're really, and it's smart. You're helping two causes. You're doing what you have to do, your mandate, and plus the benefit of the public.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I asked them. I'm like, are y'all doing 144 for the core? Because they'll lease fibers off those. They're not going to just sit on 144 pair to send the traffic that's coming from their power stations maybe is a meg a second, if that.
Yeah, Kevin, I think you're onto something because and I have not reviewed this closely, but the memorandum of understanding that Dominion and All Points Northern Neck has put forward talks about Dominion's obligations under the broadband statute, particular code section, I'd have to look at it. But it further permits electric utilities to pursue pilot programs with broadband providers and local counties and municipalities to facilitate the expansion of broadband. So what that suggests to me is that whatever the middle mile is, and that goes to this provision C of the recitals, Dominion would construct a fiber route that maximizes the number of unserved areas to be served by all points within the county. But that's this particular contract. I'm guessing that the statute says that it has to be available to LCBA, whatever, to maximize broadband deployment. So we should just look at it closer, which would mean they're going to be more willing to deal with us, and maybe we don't have to be even dealing with them through the ABP process, but it still might be a good thing to do for other reasons.
yeah.
So I'm thinking along those lines, because a good contract is all about leverage, all right? So Dominion has leverage because it's Dominion, right? For a multitude of reasons. So where do we have leverage? So the statute could give us some leverage.
Right.
The solar farms they want to build here give us leverage, right? You want our approval on that? You want these contracts that the Board of Supervisors is going to be able to enter into, what are they called? The
Citing agreements.
Siting agreements. It's like, if they play game with us and what we want to do with our fiber network, well, maybe we'll be more cooperative with them in these siting agreements too, right?
It could be some leverage.
That could be some leverage. So I think really this whole discussion shows it's really a big picture that we need to look at. And I think also with respect to DuPont, because we don't want to go to DuPont and say, if we're considering doing something with APB or like, would this area be something APB would cover?
Yeah, that's
in
why
Nutsville?
this is
Right.
why I said we should also then look at, you see all these blue dots?
Yeah, and you don't even all you have to do is say yes. So we really need, Nicholas, it's like OB1. We need the big analysis of really a strategic analysis.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Well, to be perfectly honest, if you're changing if you're going down that way, changing the strategy, and you're going after people who already have service, okay, or by FCC definition, I would attack the businesses in town. In other words,
Oh, absolutely.
so basically, you would just go down Route 3 until you hit Kilmarnock, go after, the Walmarts, the hospital that's in Kilmarnock on the other side, all the big.
The banks.
The banks, the people who need actually dedicated circuits. And then you go from there.
I agree.
Those they probably have contracts with Verizon.
They do.
So, I know the bank does.
So banks are next to impossible to get. They're belt and suspenders. Credit unions you can get. Walmarts you can't get. So you got, in general, I mean, it depends. They have national contracts, and no matter how much you save them locally, it really doesn't mean anything. It's a rounding number in their national contracts.
All that
But
land,
what
and then
about-
with Julian Patterson, that's all Verizon. All that new build, it's all Verizon, that's who they've got. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
What about the Federal Reserve's direction to banks to help the
CRA.
counties with broadband?
That's the CRA.
That may be, but the healthcare sector is very, is something you focus in on. Education, and now obviously local government, county government, things like that. And then depending on how many carriers you have out there, how much is also, wireless, right? So Verizon uses Verizon. They won't use anybody else. But there's, Sprint, I think, there's T-Mobile now. But there's also, there's other cellular providers, AT&T,
Sure.
that that is the largest chunk of the revenue for on the Eastern Shore is from wholesale. And most of it's going not to NASA like everybody thinks, but it's usually the wireless carriers.
It still seems like the best way to go is, and I'm not saying this is definitive, is put APB in that project on the side, take any money we can get from Jesse DuPont, what the county's investing in this, and then go and use some of those other things, the CRA, community reserve. I did research on that. I did the R word. And banks are encouraged to help with broadband. They talked about loans, they can do that to low income, but broadband is out there that the banks should look at how they can assist in broadband. Would we talk to somebody like Jeff Sapersky?
I don't think that's necessarily aimed at them becoming a customer, though.
Well, I
No,
think-
not
Yeah.
to a customer, but
Yeah.
if we want to do it on
Access
our
to money.
own,
Right.
these are people who can help start looking financially at
Okay.
what they may be able to provide.
7 o'clock.
I'm not saying they're going to give us $1 million, but if we don't ask, if we don't make sure we explore all avenues to get funds in, that we can do this on our own.
Well, I will tell you this. I met with Jeff Sispersky, I can't say his last name, and we talked about broadband, and I said, about the need. Now, this was early on, this was a couple of years ago. And he said, well, you don't understand, Bob. We already have it.
Oh, I remember that conversation.
He has it at his bank,
Yeah.
and he has it at his home. So therefore, we already have it. What's the need? What's the problem?
So you talk to the other people. I'm talking Jimmy Carter. I'm talking Julian Patterson. And they can say, Jeff, come here.
Oh, I know.
So,
Yes.
and as a matter of fact, I'm supposed to be talking to Jimmy tonight on a few things. And I did mention to him weeks ago or whatever. Remember, I mentioned here, he wants to get involved. And I talked to him afterwards, and he said, let me know what we can do.
That entire Business Relations Advisory Committee ought to be involved.
And I think that's the way he's going to go. That's why I said I want to talk to him about it. And that wasn't going to be on tonight's conversation, but he said let's meet about that. But I can mention, let's set a date for that. Maybe if we can do it next week, if he's available, whatever, when Nicholas is here, and have you meet some of the entrepreneurs of Lancaster County.
Mhm.
But,
Well, you can
that's,
take them out for dessert, too.
yeah,
You know where.
desert area.
That's right.
Yeah.
But, all right, it comes down, we're going to have to start getting a better feel which direction we want to go because of the timeline on Vatty, because we're going to have to sign eventually. It won't be next week, because we'll get, it's not till the 15th we get the contract, discuss it either among all the counties first, and then we go back to our counties and say, this is what it looks like with all the county input and so forth. So we're talking a couple of weeks there. But eventually, we're going to have to say we're in or we're out.
May I ask one more question? You talk about leverage. You know, ABB came up at the last minute and said, well, I know we've been talking about fiber, but we're not going to be able to do that 100%. It's got to be 50% copper and 50% fiber. Maybe if you wait long enough, when you have the discussion with ABB, you can say, well, we've been rethinking this, and we really need 100% fiber.
I know what he's going to say. It'll cost $1 million to put the new knock in Weems.
Not our
Not my
problem.
problem.
Not our problem.
See, he caught us at the right moment because it was less than a
And we
week.
can catch him. And there's a phrase for that, and it goes like this.
As my husband was saved by the short and curlies.
I'm just telling
He's a
you,
Brit, that's what
it's
they say.
leverage.
Oh, it is.
Well, okay, yeah, I just don't think they'll have a problem with us packing out because we're small. in
Oh,
this
yeah,
now.
I mean, they won't, but that's why we have to come to some decision to which direction. Like if we decide we want to back out of Batty, but then you have to know you really want to go with APB and Dominion. Do we want to go on our own with the Pooh Bob here, what's it, Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan,
Kenobi.
yeah, taking us down the right path. That's
Well, I think you have to really entertain the All Points Broadband and Dominion proposal.
okay, we can entertain it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you really got to, see what you can negotiate with them and get coverage to 2,700 people or whatever the number may be immediate, as soon as possible with the least amount of cost. So there might be other, like I said, there could be in those negotiations, there could be some great things that come out of that will help the authority achieve all the other goals.
Right.
Kevin,
I told you an hour ago.
which one, the 575,000?
Put this in front of DuPont. You're going to cover more area than they ever dreamed of covering for that 500 and change.
75.
That's going to make them very happy with the results of their money.
Mm-hmm.
Stick guns to them and make sure they stick to what they promised.
And it's well within the amount that they're talking about.
But it's not 575 because it's fewer homes than they were counting on. They were using old
Yeah, whatever it
information
is,
for the
but whatever it is,
2,700.
It's less than,
It's not.
Yes.
It's not my job to report to them how many homes it is. That's their research, not mine.
No, I know it, but you want to pay them less.
I don't disagree with paying them less, but it's like the 75 grand. All right, that cutoff that they took off, that's the money we spent on Bieri. That's why they want to cut it off. They want that network map. The work's done already.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I
well,
know
that's right in the MOU. They want access to the
You want all our
information that's
shape.
right in here.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they wrote it. It's in there, yeah, you're right.
But that makes sense. I mean, it
Yeah,
should be in there.
But,
Why should
but
they repeat
they're
the
also
work?
undervaluing the work by about,
Okay, so
And
So
we could
there's a
probably
little bit more
negotiate
work to
that.
do for Jesse Ball. Nicholas has some
But
things
see,
he
I
needs
think
to
that
analyze for the big.
Strategically, if we go to Jesse Ball, if we need to think, do
Big
we go to
picture.
Jesse Ball and say 500 whatever thousand?
Well, you know they're going to hear about this meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
and APB, Dominion thing, and we're done with that. Or we ask for the little area. I mean, I think that kind of high-level decision needs to be made, because we're not gonna be, if we do the APB route, that's gonna be covering these areas
All
that
those
we're
areas.
talking about, getting the funding from DuPont to do.
Well,
And I worry about APB's ability. I won't lie about that. I've worried about
Really?
their ability for a hot minute.
well, so far, since I've been involved, which hasn't been very long, it's the most able body that's come in here, so.
But I'd be interested.
the Dominion brings them the able body. The APB has been predominantly fixed wireless, and they have one fiber company, which is actually poorly run now they bought it.
Yeah.
They didn't
I'm
put it
just
in.
talking about the most recent record based upon their ability to get EBB money from the federal government, their ETC application in connection with RDOF. You know, they might have been one place 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That's a lot of time in this business. And if you've got the right people working with you and the right kind of backing, you can get up to speed, and if their customer service is what they say it is, that's all relevant.
We have homework.
Yeah.
We need to find out exactly how APB has performed. And I agree with you, they've done some stuff that get approvals and so forth, which is hard to get. But we need, as Michelle asked, to get the references. So we know to contact Jimmy Carter to get references and do our own research as to who else besides the counties he's named, because he may have just cherry-picked, find out how poorly or how well they've done.
Yeah.
Michelle, Nicholas, and I will be on the call on the 15th with DHCD and the Batty team, the other counties, to see about the contract and so forth. And we'll report back whatever comes out of that meeting. I think they've only scheduled it for an hour, so it's probably going to be black and white. This is a contract, whatever.
Well, this is just an MOU, it's not the actual contract.
Oh, no, this is the
No.
one we're doing with DHCD
All
for
right,
Batty.
all right.
Yeah. The other thing we have to do is let Gary do his thing on the presentation for DuPont. And two types of presentations. The first one, identifying the areas that we agree we're gonna do, then the other one doing like a 5-year plan. I think we could give both, and then we'll see what we do, can get any Mark to come and, or Zoom or whatever, to go over what we've presented. And then we have all of that basic work done, we can start making a decision in or out of Batty, because that's really the first thing we have to decide. If we love APB, then we get out of Batty. That's what you're saying, if we love APB, if they turn out to be as good as they sound. And I know he did well today. I just have some heartburn from the first time when they talked last year. And they may have gotten smarter, they may have done more. I don't know. I'd like to hear him because he did some fast talking last year. He basically lied.
Oh, yeah, he basically told me there was only one type of fiber and this, that, and the other.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the whole time he's feeding me this, I'm like, lie.
And we
He
talked
did-
about,
he
well, the
didn't know
other
the
thing.
cost per mile.
Now,
to do
one other
anything.
thing he said last year, and I forgot about it and we should have asked. We talked to them, you'll remember this, about open access. We said that if you want to go for Russ, when we were talking about that, oh yeah, I know how to write something. Yeah, we'll be open access. They weren't going to do open access. And he was basically fudging. He's like snake oil. At least he was last year. And I still feel the grease.
He's, you don't change the bird by color, he just gets slicker.
Yeah. So that's why we do need to do more
But we
homework.
need to understand, as I said, he put forth a deal that sounded too good. And so Michelle brings up good points. We got to do some due diligence on
Yeah,
this.
we do.
I want to see all the things he said in writing in that
1,000-foot
MOU.
thing, that's huge.
Yeah, the 1,000 feet for
Well,
what
why
was it,
don't you do this?
$99?
Gary, since you're sort of his focal point, why don't you send him an email? We want, even though we won't tell him we've got it copied, we want the presentation, like him to forward his slides that he
Yeah.
did today. We'd like those points, raise them in writing,
Yeah,
and see what he sends back. His list of references, and we'll
Yeah.
find out if there are
The
more.
counties where it's operational,
Yeah,
and the marketing material they send, like whatever they send to their customers, the service that they provide and stuff like that.
Hey,
oh,
Nick,
what is that called, the customer contract? You had a word for
Service
it.
agreement.
can you reach out
service
to your
agreement.
people?
A copy of the service
You
agreement.
know, the guys you know that know the guys that know the guys,
and
and
if
see
he's
what
really
you,
interested in getting
get on
us,
them.
he'll put pen to paper
Yeah,
and see
but
how
what
honest he
Nicholas
is.
said earlier, as far as,
Get it on their website.
we could give APB 2 years or whatever, and if they turn out to be bad, then we can go in to that area.
Well, also, I mean, it's the contract we sign with them, right? So if we have performance issues, we could ask for a performance bond. We could ask for, if they don't meet the criteria that we select, we could assign it to someone else or to the authority ourselves. So if they don't perform, as long as we have, we have clear metrics for them to meet. If they don't perform, then we should have a performance bond. We should make them, that contract assignable to someone else if they don't perform.
And if they provide, good answers to this, then we.
Because you're right. I mean, to Gary's point, it does sound too good to be true, but you have to look at it because everybody's going to look at this saying, how can you not sign this deal?
Yeah, you've got got to have a reason when somebody asks you, why didn't you? And you can cite
Yeah.
this. Because as, I think it might have been you, Cherie, asked him about the lifeline and so forth. And while he said yes to that, there were other things, I can't remember what they were, he was a little bit more.
Yeah,
we
but the
need to say-
reason that he didn't know how to answer is because that's not his space. He's a businessman. He came
Yeah.
here to present.
His engineer was sitting right there in that pew.
I know, but his engineer was told that he was going to do all the talking, and the engineer wasn't. So, I mean, that didn't surprise me at all. It was clear that I deal with non-technical people all the time. And, you know, when you start asking them technical stuff, were you asking them about contracts and compliance and,
Go to
they, you know, it's tough. They don't know everything. That's not his space. So
right, so
that
we
doesn't
just
trouble
ask
me.
him then.
Actually, I'll be contrarian, surprise. But, but he does pass himself off as a technical guy.
Well, I'm sure he does.
And-
Lots of
and
people
he
pass
goes
themselves as
through-
lawyers, you
Yeah,
know?
well, there's a lot of those too.
Yeah.
But no, but he knew the answers to those
Yeah.
questions. He didn't want to answer.
I
And
hear
that-
you, I
and-
hear you, but leaving aside the personal, you
Yeah.
know,
And that's the problem.
you don't need to like the guy necessarily, it's just, is the company solid?
That's why we do our homework.
What can it deliver? Is it an option or is it not? And it sounds like we've got a little work to do, but, I mean, so far, what I've seen, looking at third-party sources, like the Federal Communications Commission, you know, then, and what Dominion's doing and what the Virginia State Corporation Commission has done in evaluating the applications, filings that they have made, you know, right now, they look pretty solid. So
Let's find
let's
out
just
how solid.
drill down and see if they're an option.
Well,
What-
in Gary's email to Jeff, how about if he introduces Nicholas and says, Nicholas may have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Please answer any questions or provide him with any information that he requests.
I'm trying to understand your, Jeff,
Make-
meaning
make
BTS.
Jeff or Jimmy?
Jimmy.
The guy who was here
Jimmy.
today.
Jimmy.
I'm sorry.
A lot of J's, out there.
In your email where you're asking for the references and so forth, also make an introduction, because he left before
We
Nicholas
talked.
was introduced. Make an introduction to Nicholas and tell him to please answer any questions Nicholas may have, you know, so Nicholas can directly communicate with APB and
that-
say,
that's
I need
fine.
to know from your engineer, blah, 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 whatever. And
Whatever he needs to know.
let Nicholas do his
Okay.
magic.
We
Explore.
spoke to everybody on this email. He'll get Nicholas.
Yeah, you know, rather than us,
And Nicholas can use the Force as Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Too many Star Wars references.
Okay.
I think I might be
What's
the only
next?
person in America who never saw Star Wars, so.
We will talk. We will talk.
Nice.
The last thing on here, we already talked about Batty, the update is the meeting and who's going, so forth. The last thing I sent out yesterday, I don't even remember. Since Gary had talked about the conference in July in Nashville, I want everybody to see reimbursement policies and everything for the county. I sent it out, I think, this morning. And it's a lot of pages. Page 10 is the reimbursement part, but it's personnel policy. Feel free to read at your convenience, and we should be under that umbrella. But anyway, that'll tell everybody what we're required to report due for reimbursement for any travel and everything else. So you have that, it's in your email someplace. Okay, that's all that's on the agenda. Can we go home?
I make the motion that we adjourn this meeting until whenever.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't we need to go into closed meeting, but I guess we've had that discussion anyway about the, and
For what?
about the contract and all that stuff, so.
What, the assignment?
That one, well, we didn't talk about, we just said you accept or not. We didn't discuss.
No, but I meant the whole discussion of APB, isn't that a?
It was a
contract
public
discussion?
meeting
No, I understand.
that we just.
But
I think we're
our
okay.
discussion,
No.
should that have been open or closed?
No, it's open.
It's
meeting.
open.
That's open.
Yeah,
meeting.
that should be
Okay,
open.
great.
We had no proprietary
Close,
information or
close,
anything.
we would go to close if we were actually discussing details of a contract.
Contract with them.
Motion to adjourn is always appropriate.
That's my
Okay.
motion.
A second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going home. Jimmy's gonna call.
God, are you going all the way up north home or here home?
Who, me?
No.
oh, Sharon, Sherry.
Oh.